Chapter 495. Shun Xiaowu wasn't just the commander-in-chief. He was a titled expert with the title of Green Tiger. To be able to become one of the commander-in-chief of the 5 explored spaces, Shun Xiaowu's intelligence and martial arts were definitely top-notch. Even Shun Xiaowu wasn't confident that he could take a light blow from Wang Lan. "You're too humble." After the bright Yang sword art was upgraded to the diamond level, the sword glow turned into a sword soul. In the state of sword aura, it was attached to the saber and sword. It was indestructible and could destroy anything. After condensing the sword soul, the man and sword became one. Even if Wang Lan didn't have a sword in his hand, he was the bright Yang sword art. Grass, trees, bamboo, stones, flying flowers, and leaves were all sword aura. Wang Lan could add the bright Yang sword art to any non-elemental Takashi Hoshi skill. For example, the nebulous sword dance, the crescent moon arrow, and all the basic skills. This change would raise Wang Lan's fighting style and close combat strength to a new level. Then, Wang Lan upgraded the Holy Shield to the diamond level, forming the Holy Protection. The Holy Shield was no longer limited to a shield. Instead, it became a 360-degree defense with no blind spots like a protective shield. The protective shield was tightly attached to the body, but could increase the defensive strength of the Holy Shield by several times. If he added the Phoenix Sacred Garment, Wang Lan's defense might be able to withstand the attack of an Astral Soul Realm expert. After completing this series of upgrades, Wang Lan opened his eyes in satisfaction. Wang Lan split the remaining skill points between the Life Halo and the Bright Yang Sword Art. After this upgrade, Wang Lan could upgrade another 2 Takashi Hoshi skills. Looking at the skills page, Wang Lan felt an inexplicable sadness. The skills that had been upgraded to the limit were like the setting sun that was about to reach the end of its life. Currently, there were still 4 Takashi Hoshi techniques: the Phoenix form, the Bright Yang Sword Art, the 5 Extreme Fire Art, and a Life Halo that had been upgraded to the Blue Diamond level. Wang Lan couldn't guarantee that there wouldn't be too many of them left after upgrading to the Blue Diamond level. As Wang Lan slowly opened his eyes, Jiang Xinyu beside him suddenly emitted a clear wave of star power. The astral power triggered the tide, turning it into rolling waves. Shun Xiaowu, who was just about to leave, suddenly stopped in his tracks. His gaze shifted from Wang Lan to Jiang Xinyu. "Break through to the Star Sea Realm," Shun Xiaowu said in a low voice. Even Wang Lan's girlfriend is about to break through to the Star Sea Realm. Sure enough, those who associate with geniuses are also geniuses. One of the galaxy-grade wasteland reclaimers sighed as he looked at Jiang Xinyu, who was emitting powerful astral energy fluctuations. "Wait a minute. I remember that Wang Lan broke through to the Star Sea Realm a few days ago, right?" "Indeed, it has only been 4 or 5 days. Wang Lan has already broken Princess Yu's record." Then, between Jiang Xinyu and Wang Lan, who is older? Suddenly, everyone realized a problem. The record of being the youngest Star Sea Realm expert, which had just been broken by Wang Lan, was about to be broken again. The title of being the youngest Star Sea Realm expert was indeed incredible. This was not a ranking of the fastest person to break through to the Star Sea Realm in the same generation, but a ranking of the same era. In other words, since the demon's last retreat and the end of the world's war more than 70 years ago, there had been records of being the youngest Star Sea Realm expert. 4 whole generations. In these 4 generations, the Jade State had given birth to tens of millions of Takashi Hoshi, and the world had given birth to more than 100 million Takashi Hoshi. Among so many Takashi Hoshi, what did it mean to be the youngest to break through to the Star Sea Realm? A genius who surpassed more than 100 million? What kind of glory was this? What kind of prodigy was this? Although, if one were to categorize the reasons, Jiang Xinyu's record as the newest record holder was very much overstated. Jiang Xinyu's success was due to a lot of fortuitous encounters. She was one of the first batch of star martial artists to learn the Immortal Cloud Profound Verdant Records Chi training chapter. This allowed her cultivation speed to increase after she reached the Nebula Realm. She had Wang Lan to provide her with an unlimited amount of soul, orbs for her to break through, so she had almost never had to worry about soul orbs. Therefore, after Nebula, all the obstacles in her path had been removed. This speed could not be considered as Jiang Sinyu's talent, which was unprecedented. But wasn't fortuitous encounters also a part of strength? People only cared about the results of reality. Who would go to the root of the matter and investigate how many fortuitous factors were in her success? Everyone knew that in the near future, this record would be continuously broken. 10 years later, 18-year-old Star Sea Realm experts would emerge one after another. But right now, this moment of light belonged to Jiang Xinyu. Boom! The gate of the Star Palace suddenly trembled, and a vast sea of stars wandered in the Star Palace. The sea of stars formed, and Jiang Xinyu officially broke free of the shackles and rushed into the Star Sea Realm. Let's go. Go find out Jiang Xinyu's date of birth and report it. Yes. After a long time, Jiang Xinyu's aura slowly stabilized. She opened her eyes, and Jiang Xinyu's eyes lit up with joy, especially when she saw Wang Lan's starry eyes in front of her. The happiness filled her heart. You broke through? Yes. And this breakthrough is very stable. I don't feel the slightest bit of instability in my realm. In addition to the doubling of my physical strength, my astral power capacity has increased by about 10 times. Twice your physical strength? 10 times your astral power? Why didn't I? Wang Lan exclaimed with a bit of jealousy. But this guy didn't think about his data before the Starsea realm. His physical strength had already surpassed that of a normal Starsea realm expert, and his astral power capacity had far exceeded that of a titled expert. If he had Jiang Sinyu's increase in these data, did he really think that the laws of heaven and earth were just decorations that would allow him to use cheats so unscrupulously? The reason Jiang Xinyu could have such an increase was that she hadn't developed her body to the extreme when she was in the Starsea realm. It could be said that normal people would have such an increase when they broke through to the Starsea realm, but it didn't apply to people who had already developed their bodies. Now that you're also an Astral Sea realm expert, you have reached the conditions to learn some profound Super S rank Star Martial skills. Baby, tell me, what do you want to learn? I'll teach you. I can't learn your Phoenix form. What can you teach me? You don't know this, but the S-rank Takashi Hoshi technique I know isn't just the Phoenix form. Look, this is a level 5 fire art. Through the cultivation technique, I can use 5 types of deviant flames, each of which is shockingly powerful. If you learn the 5 extreme fire art well, you won't be invincible, but you'll definitely be able to move unhindered. How about it? Although I have cultivated the fire attribute, my affinity with the fire attribute is not high. Jiang Xinyu shook her head. I can still use ordinary Takashi Hoshi techniques, but I'll only be able to learn this kind of profound Takashi Hoshi technique with twice the effort for half the result. Forget it. You don't have to worry about my Takashi Hoshi technique. I already have a Takashi Hoshi technique that's not inferior to the 5 extreme fire art. Wang Lan looked at Jiang Xinyu in surprise. Not inferior to the 5 extreme fire art? That's impossible. I obtained the 5 extreme fire art from the Immortal Cloud sect. It's the ultimate technique of an ancient cultivation sect. What about perfection like water? Jiang Xinyu mischievously winked at Wang Lan. Perfection like water? Yuruoyan taught you that? When? Why don't I know about it? Last time in Sioux City, she told me not to tell you. When Wang Lan heard this, her expression became somewhat solemn. Perfection like water is a Takashi Hoshi technique that was obtained together with the 5 extreme fire art. At that time, we found a total of 6 types of Super S-level Takashi Hoshi techniques. After that, I took the 5 extreme fire art, and Ryun took perfection like water. The remaining 4 were all handed over to the country. The Yu family has been coveting perfection like water for a long time. They even tacitly agreed that perfection like water is the ultimate technique of the Yu family. She actually gave perfection like water to you. Actually, I also feel that it's very sudden. In Ryun's words, this Takashi Hoshi technique might surpass the Super S-level Takashi Hoshi technique, like the Dragon Emperor form. It should be. Although Wang Lan didn't know the power of perfection like water, he could make an analogy. Since perfection, like water, was placed together with the 5 extreme fire art, its level shouldn't be too bad. And the power of the 5 extreme fire art might really surpass the phoenix form. Since you've cultivated this Takashi Hoshi technique, then forget it. I won't give you anything else, but I have a sword that I hope you can learn. What? Bright Yang sword art. As soon as his voice fell, Wang Lan's 2 fingers pointed at Jiang Sinyu's forehead. The cultivation method of Bright Yang sword art was imprinted into Jiang Sinyu's mind through the spiritual imprint. Bright Yang sword art was a special Takashi Hoshi technique. This was a Takashi Hoshi technique that had 4 forms and could be upgraded 4 times. From Sword Chi to Sword Embryo, the power of each upgrade was earth-shattering. Jiang Sinyu's close combat strength was not bad. She started off with swordsmanship. He didn't teach her before because he was afraid that the difficulty of cultivating Bright Yang sword art would delay Jiang Sinyu's breakthrough. But now, Jiang Sinyu had reached the Star Realm. It was time to teach her. After receiving Bright Yang sword art, Jiang Sinyu and Wang Lan immediately began to cultivate in the camp. As for the work of exploring the Cloud Sea, Shun Xiao would inform them when needed. 7 days passed without them noticing. While Wang Lan was teaching Jiang Sinyu how to condense the sword glow, a figure suddenly appeared. Tam Lang, Jiang Sinyu, the commander-in-chief, wants you to go to the command room. The two didn't hesitate and went to the command room at once. The atmosphere in the command room was very serious. Apart from Shin Xiaowu, the other 3 title battle pet warriors were all there, and they all looked solemn and gloomy. Looking at the atmosphere, Wang Lan felt something was wrong. He had been cultivating with Jiang Sinyu these days and neglected to pay attention to the development of El Nino. What's wrong? Something seems to have happened. The southern region has been completely defeated. Dongfang He and Sun Chang'an have lost contact, Shen Xiaowu replied in a low voice. Huh? The entire region has been completely defeated? To what extent? Are there a lot of exotic beasts attacking the southern region? Wang Lan asked again. It's been completely defeated, Qiao Shan said coldly. It can even be said that the entire southern region has fallen. If it weren't for the discovery of exotic beasts crossing the border in the southwest region, our command room would still be in the dark. Yesterday afternoon, Sun Chang'an reported that the beast tide had been resisted and that the beast tide in the southern region was decreasing. It was estimated that the beast tide would be over in 2 days. But who knew? The entire southern region would fall overnight. Abyssal beasts were dispatched? I don't know. But even if it was Sun Chang'an and Dongfang, he wouldn't have the time to report and warn us. Not only did they not warn us, but the command room in the southern region also didn't send anyone to report. Suddenly, a large number of exotic beasts broke through the front line, causing the rear defense to be caught off guard. The exotic beasts invaded 500 kilometers. Chapter 496. The problem now is not the fall of the southern region, but the whereabouts of Dongfang, He, and Sun Chang'an. Qiao Shan yelled with a gloomy face. I know how powerful Dongfang, He, and Sun Chang'an are. No matter how difficult the situation is, they will be able to send back critical information through the hummingbird. There is only one possibility for us to lose contact so suddenly without any warning, leading to the fall of the South. What? They were killed in an instant. The atmosphere in the command room dropped to the freezing point again. Before we figure out what happened, we can't reclaim the southern region for now. I suggest we send an investigation team to investigate behind enemy lines in the southern region. We have to at least figure out what happened. That's the only thing we can do. Commander-in-Chief, I have a request. I want to join the investigation team, Qiao Shan said with a serious face. You? Is that necessary? Shun Xiaowu asked in surprise. Of course it is. My intuition tells me that something happened to Sun Chang'an and the others. If something happened to 2 title battle pet warriors at the same time without any warning, it must be a terrible situation. How about this? I'll join as well. Wang Lan suddenly said. If Earthwalker's guess is right, then Earthwalker's trip must be very dangerous. I'll go with him so that we can look after each other. Besides, we work well together. It's naturally for the best if Wang Lan can go. Then I'll go too. White Dragon suddenly crossed his legs and said. Shen Xiaowu looked at the lineup in front of him and didn't know what to say for a long time. 3 title battle pet warriors were needed for a single investigation mission. Okay, then I'll leave it to you. Keep in touch with the Hummingbird. Wang Lan, Earthwalker Qiao Shan, and White Dragon by Xiao Feng led the investigation team, with 2-star Sea Realm warriors and 7 Galaxy Realm warriors. They set off quietly. Jiang Xinyu was one of the 2-star Sea Realm warriors. Although Jiang Xinyu had just reached the Star Sea Realm and couldn't fully utilize the combat strength of a Star Sea Realm warrior, they didn't need any powerful combat strength with 3 title battle pet warriors. Because they didn't know what had happened in the southern region, and their main mission was reconnaissance, it was necessary for them to remain hidden. With the strength of Wang Lan's group, of course, they could fight their way over openly. However, not only would it take a lot of time, it might also alert the enemy. In that case, how to get there became a problem. Now that the southern region had been completely taken over by the exotic beasts, regardless of whether they traveled on the ground or in the air, they would definitely be surrounded if they were discovered by the exotic beasts. My underground traversing technique can bring everyone underground at a speed of 200 kilometers per hour, the Earthwalker suggested. What's the use of underground travel? We need to travel 500 kilometers, and world walking can only cover a few kilometers at most. Even if you have a super S-rank world walking, you can't cover more than a few dozen kilometers. Underground travel was too slow, and it was a waste of time. Why don't we split up and move in 3 different directions? We won't be too far away from each other either. That way, we'll be able to take care of each other and disperse the exotic beasts' encirclement at the same time. If that's the case, it's better for one person to lead a small team to infiltrate. If there are fewer of them, it will be easier to conceal them. Can you guys let me finish? Qiao Shan interrupted by Xiao Feng impatiently. My underground travel can last for 100 kilometers. However, after 100 kilometers, I need to rest for half an hour to recover my stamina and astral power. 100 kilometers. When Xiao Shan said that, everyone was shocked. 100 kilometers in a single use of underground travel was unimaginable to normal people. Furthermore, he was bringing people with him? Don't be so shocked. I'll be proud. Xiao Shan was a little proud. If it's just me alone, I can only travel 150 kilometers at most. If you're so capable, why do you need us to go with you? Can't you complete the scouting work by yourself? Bai Xiaofeng shouted at Xiao Shan. I said I was going to scout alone back then. It was you guys who couldn't wait to go with me. You didn't say you could travel 100 kilometers in a single use. You guys didn't ask. Everyone was dumbfounded. Underground travel was such a common Takashi Hoshi skill. Was there a need to ask? Under normal circumstances, it was considered high to be able to travel more than a kilometer with underground travel. Only a pinnacle earth element Takashi Hoshi could travel a few kilometers in underground travel. Even if 5 emperors with earth element mastery could only travel a few dozen kilometers with underground travel. However, underground travel could travel 100 kilometers. This was like stepping on the entire world. No, it was like stepping on everyone since ancient times. My title is Underground Travel. That's how I got it. Come, everyone, come over and stand beside me. The group of Takashi Hoshi gathered around underground travel. Wang Lan and Bai Xiaofeng guarded the team from the front and back. A hazy white light rippled, and astral power enveloped everyone. In an instant, the ground beneath everyone's feet seemed to have lost its bearing capacity. Everyone disappeared into the soil. The feeling of traveling underground was very strange. It felt like the soil around them had turned into water, but it was lighter than water. Moreover, the soil didn't cause any friction with their bodies. They were like a group of ghosts, traveling quickly underground. Bong! There was a slight tremor, and the group of people suddenly stopped shuttling. What's wrong? Are we 100 kilometers? No, we've only traveled 50 kilometers. Underground Travel's face was a little pale. He had just bragged that he could travel 100 kilometers underground. However, he was slapped in the face on his first try. This is the Earth Crystal Area. It's a special section that can isolate all Earth element Takashi Hoshi skills. Wang Lan smiled and explained on behalf of underground travel. We can only travel on the ground. Let's go up. The Earth crystal area wasn't a secret to the Takashi Hoshi in the Cloud Sea. Everyone knew that there was a forbidden land for Earth element Takashi Hoshi in the south. However, underground travel had just come from the northwest. Of course he wouldn't know. The group rose to the surface. The ground under their feet was a little similar to the obsidian at the ice cliff. It was dark and shiny, with a metallic luster. The Earth crystal area was about 1 kilometer in size. However, there was actually a type of half-machine exotic beast in this area, the ironclad beast. It was Wang Lan's first time seeing an exotic beast in the form of a machine. Most of the ironclad beast's body and even its organs were replaced by metal. It was the size of a bull and had a rhinoceros-like horn on its forehead. Of course, this exotic beast wasn't a native of the Earth crystal area. It came here with the beast horde. Wang Lan and the others were very careful in the beginning, avoiding the ironclad beast stealth. However, before they could travel 500 meters, Wang Lan and the others were surrounded by a group of ironclad beasts. Half of the ironclad beast's face was mechanical. Its left eye was flashing red, and its eyeball was in the shape of a camera. In terms of evolution, these half-machine, half-living things shouldn't exist at all. However, exotic beasts were in existence that completely defied evolution. Moreover, when he saw the ironclad beast, Wang Lan somehow thought of Cybertron, which was a few dozen light years away from Sky Blue Planet. Small mechanical animals had already appeared on the mechanical life forms there. Moreover, the evolved structures were very well proportioned. At this rate, there should be a type of mechanical life form that Wang Lan could use for war within 50 years. Compared to the cute life forms on Cybertron, these ironclad beasts were much more unfriendly. After they surrounded Wang Lan and the others, they suddenly opened their mouths and a cannon barrel came out. Boom! Dozens of cannonballs were fired at the same time, instantly bombarding the group. Gates of the underworld. Wang Lan slammed his palm on the ground, and 3 huge gates of the underworld rose up. Boom, boom, boom. The cannonballs hit the gates of the underworld, and the rumbling sounds of explosions could be heard. Wang Lan's figure flashed and rushed through the gates of the underworld like a ghost. His figure turned into colorful butterflies in a flash. Every colorful butterfly landed beside an ironclad beast. Wang Lan's figure flashed like a ghost, instantly appearing beside every ironclad beast. The gleam of a blade flashed, and the dozens of ironclad beasts stiffened without any warning. The red light in their eyes then disappeared. In the next second, the dozens of ironclad beasts slowly separated from middle, evenly split into 2 halves. Wang Lan squatted down curiously, examining the internal structure of the ironclad beast. It was very strange. The ironclad beast's brain and internal organs were all biological organs, but its mouth, bones, esophagus, and stomach were all metal structures. Its body was also partly mechanical and partly biological. There was probably no reference value in trying to find out how to create robots through these ironclad beasts. It didn't make sense at all. Stop researching. Although I'm also very curious about these ironclad beasts, and I've only seen them a few times in my life, our journey is more important. That explosion from before has already alerted the other ironclad beasts. Wang Lan stood up and hurried along with the rest of the group. However, along the way, Wang Lan's brows were still furrowed. Wang Lan, what are you thinking about? Jiang Xinyu came to Wang Lan's side gently and asked, I'm thinking, how did these half-mechanical, half-biological beasts combine so perfectly? Their life foundations are different. Wouldn't there be a conflict? Is there any scientific reason for the existence of ironclad beasts? If this world is scientific, then demons shouldn't exist, Xiao Shan said with a chuckle. That's not the case. We can't use science to explain it. It only proves that science hasn't developed to that stage yet. Everything that exists can be called science. Just like this alternate dimension. Who dares to say that they're really on planet Tianwan? Isn't there a hypothesis? The alternate dimension is pieced together by countless spatial fragments. Aren't the creatures in those spatial fragments evolved from the world they are in before the space shattered? Perhaps in the world the ironclad beasts are in, life forms are evolving from carbon-based to silicon-based life forms. Our universe is endless. Who knows what kind of strange evolution will occur in some corner? Moreover, these fragments might not necessarily originate from our universe. They might even be related to parallel universes, Bai Xiaofeng explained seriously. Bai Xiaofeng explained in a serious manner. However, other than Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu, no one else understood what he was saying. Chapter 497. But soon, there is no need for them to continue discussing whether or not such a strange structure should appear or why it was unreasonable. In front of them, hundreds of ironclad beasts appeared, as if they had been waiting for them for a long time. Some of the ironclad beasts opened their backs, and cannons protruded from their backs. Some of the ironclad beasts opened their sides, and sharp blades protruded from their bodies. Some ironclad beasts were even more extreme, with saw-like blades protruding from their bodies. One look, and one could tell that they were butchers on the battlefield. In terms of transformation, the ironclad beasts were indeed superior to the ironclad beasts. The ironclad beasts could even transmit signals at a speed of more than 10,000 meters per second, and they could freely transform their bodies to adapt to their environment. On the other hand, the ironclad beasts could only evolve through death and elimination, and were forced to change themselves. This was also why Cybertron took less than 2 years to go through 200 to 300 million years of evolution compared to Sky Blue Planet. Forget it, it's only a few hundred meters anyway. Let's charge through in one go. Bai Xiaofeng gently rubbed his wrists and smiled faintly. Suddenly, Bai Xiaofeng's figure flashed, and he appeared at the forefront of the crowd. Astral powers surged around him, and electric arcs flashed. The moment Bai Xiaofeng activated his astral powers, Wang Lan clearly felt that the astral powers in heaven and earth were being attracted by something, and then the astral powers were densely arranged into a formation that he did not understand. Wang Lan looked at Bai Xiaofeng with a trace of astonishment on his face. Ever since Wang Lan's strength had caught up to that of a titled battle pet warrior, although he had never shown it, deep down, he had underestimated the strength of titled battle pet warriors. He thought that titled battle pet warriors were just SOSO. But which titled battle pet warrior wasn't once a prodigy? In areas where Wang Lan was good, titled battle pet warriors might not be able to do so. But in areas where titled battle pet warriors were good at, Wang Lan might not be able to do so. What was Wang Lan's advantage? He could throw out S-grade Takashi Hoshi skills as if they were free. He even had several sets of Takashi Hoshi skills from the ancient cultivation civilization. At the same time, Wang Lan's fighting style was flexible and varied. There was no fixed style, and he could change his fighting style in different situations. Although Wang Lan had been given a title, did Wang Lan really reach the level of a titled battle pet warrior in all aspects? Wang Lan used to think so, but now he shook his head silently. At the very least, the operation that Bai Xiaofeng displayed was Wang Lan's blind spot. It had never occurred to him that the Takashi Hoshi technique could resonate with the stellar energy of heaven and earth, and that it could be used to unleash even more powerful Takashi Hoshi techniques. For Wang Lan, this was like opening a brand new door. In Wang Lan's perception, the stellar forces of heaven and earth influenced each other. In an instant, a huge formation made of electric arcs appeared in front of Bai Xiaofeng. Suddenly, a lightning laser cannon shot out from the array. After breaking free from the formation, it transformed into a huge thunder dragon and charged towards the ironclad beasts at lightning speed. Boom! The mountain peak shattered and the ground cracked. Countless fragments of the earth and the bodies of the ironclad beasts were sucked into the sky by an inexplicable gravitational force, and then shattered and melted in the milky white electric light. Wherever the white light passed, a huge tunnel that stretched as far as the eye could see appeared in front of them. The continuous mountain range seemed to have been eaten by a huge worm, leaving behind this hideous wreckage. The hundreds of ironclad beasts in front of them had completely disappeared. Clap, clap. Bai Xiaofeng clapped his hands. Don't be in a daze. Let's hurry up. We'll definitely alarm the exotic beasts this time. As Bai Xiaofeng said this, his figure instantly charged towards the south. Roar, roar, roar. The roars of the exotic beasts in the distance were endless. Exotic beasts from all directions swarmed towards where Wang Lan and the others were like crazy. This was now a nation of exotic beasts, a world of exotic beasts. Normally, the exotic beasts would fight each other to the death. However, once a human stepped into the world of exotic beasts and caused such a huge commotion, the exotic beasts would be riled up. It was precisely because of this characteristic that even titled experts would do their best to conceal themselves when scouting. They would enter the village quietly and not use their guns. Almost at the same instant the group charged out of the Earth Crystal area, they saw an endless number of exotic beasts swarming towards them from all over the mountains. George hurriedly activated Takashi Hoshi, enveloping everyone and disappearing into the ground with a whoosh. After sinking into the ground, they seemed to still be able to hear the furious roars of the exotic beasts. When the exotic beasts were unleashing their fury on Wang Lan's location, Wang Lan and the others were already more than a kilometer away from the ground. This time, they didn't encounter any accidents along the way. They spent half an hour and successfully moved 100 kilometers away. They slowly emerged from the ground and found a cave to rest for the time being. Xiao Shan's world walking was very fast, but it consumed a lot of Xiao Shan's energy. Moving 100 kilometers in one breath wasn't just a challenge to his astral power reserves. It was also a challenge to his mental power. After absorbing a high-grade soul orb, young Master Qiao leaned against the wall and rested. This seems to be, Bai Xiaofeng looked at the terrain outside the cave. This seems to be near the third line of defense. Old Xiao, why don't we scout the third line of defense? Is it far? George propped himself up and asked. Not far, only 3 kilometers or so. Or do you want me to go alone? All right then. You must come back in half an hour. Also, I know your habits. Don't mess around. It won't do us any good if we startle the exotic beasts. Wang Lan suddenly stood up and said, I'll go with you. Sure. The others stayed in the cave to hide. Wang Lan and Bai Xiaofeng were more agile when it came to moving stealthily. After walking out of the cave, Bai Xiaofeng was about to flash away when Wang Lan pulled him back. I'll use underground travel to bring you there. You know underground travel too? Then why don't you team up with old Xiao? We don't need to rest if you guys take turns escorting us. Uncle Bai, do you think everyone is as crazy as Uncle Xiao? Moving 100 kilometers stealthily at 300 kilometers per hour? I can only move 3 kilometers at most. Bai Xiaofeng turned around and looked at the limp George. He scratched his head and smiled. That's true. I almost forgot George's reputation as an animal. Underground travel could allow one to move 100 kilometers at high speed. It was definitely unprecedented. Wang Lan had never been here before and didn't know the direction, but Bai Xiaofeng knew it very well. Although Wang Lan's underground travel didn't cover a great distance, his casting was very precise. The two of them rose from the ground and happened to be in the third line of defense's camp. The camp was huge. The bunkers, walls, and trenches were all intact. However, the buildings in the camp had been completely destroyed. There are clear traces of battle. Bai Xiaofeng scanned the area and knew the general situation. The walls, bunkers, and other fortifications are intact, but the camp has suffered extensive damage. The exotic beasts attacked very suddenly. The reclaimers stationed in the camp didn't know what was going on. After that, a fierce battle broke out in the camp. In the end, all of them died. Are you sure they all died? Wang Lan carefully searched the camp. It's impossible for anyone to survive such a beast wave. But why would the beasts charge into the camp without anyone noticing? Wang Lan came to the bunkers and inspected the layout of the bunkers. There are 7 bunkers. There should be reclaimers standing guard in each of the bunkers, right? With a wide field of vision, they should be able to see at least 3 kilometers away. Even if the beast wave was moving at 70 kilometers per hour, there should have been a warning. Even if the warning was too late, the garrison would still have time to set up defenses on the walls and trenches and arrange for some people to evacuate. However, the bunkers, walls, and trenches are all intact. This means that the exotic beast had easily and silently climbed over them. Where are the third line of defense's sentries? Were they all dead then? Wang Lan's question caused by Xiao Feng's face to turn pale and gloomy. What other explanation could there be? There was none. It was impossible. Even if they were careless and let down their guard. That was a beast wave. How could a beast wave cause a small commotion? As sentries, it could be explained if one of them let down their guard and one was careless. But what about 7? Other than the bunkers, there were also sentries on the walls and trenches. Logically speaking, there should be sentries. How could none of them have noticed? The only explanation was that they were already dead. Then how'd they die? Obviously, the exotic beast's actions weren't very likely. The exotic beast wouldn't send out scouts and special forces to infiltrate the enemy's rear and wait for all the sentries to open up the defensive line, allowing the exotic beast to charge in so easily. The only one who could do all this was Takashi Hoshi. Thinking of this, killing intent flashed in by Xiao Feng's eyes. There should be other Takashi Hoshi messing things up. That's the only explanation. From the front lines to the 5th line of defense, there wasn't a single warning in the 500 kilometers of defensive line. Birds of paradise? Or demons? Wang Lan shouted gloomily. It could also be the neighboring countries. Bai Xiaofeng said solemnly, the Cloud Sea borders the Titanium country, the Vine country, the Ness country, and other South Asian countries. During the El Niño period, the alternate spaces of the countries will collide and overlap. They can enter the Cloud Sea and open up new spaces through the collision of alternate spaces. But what's the benefit of ambushing us? Wang Lan asked, not understanding. Of course there are benefits, such as resources, soul, orbs, and many other things. Some of them just want to attack us. Jade State is big and strong, but it doesn't mean that others won't dare to attack you or tear something off you. Some countries won't lose anything even if they're killed, but if they could take a bite out of Jade State, they'll be full. Do you think they'll do that? But what can they eat in the alternate spaces? I'm just talking about the fundamental problem, not the opening up of new spaces. Because this kind of thing happens too often, Jade State won't ignore it. Then, they'll impose sanctions and then friction. Under the brainwashing of the government officials of these small countries, they're all victims. Our Jade State is bullying them. Do you think the Takashi Hoshi who grew up in this kind of environment will attack Jade State when they see a chance to do so? This kind of situation has happened too often. I once caught a Takashi Hoshi from the Vine country alive and asked him why he attacked the Takashi Hoshi from Jade State. Guess what he said? Does he need a reason to attack the Takashi Hoshi from Jade State? I'll be a martyr even if I die. Hearing Bai Xiaofeng's words, Wang Lan's heart seemed to be violently clenched. But to be able to do such a thing, he must be at least a titled battle pet warrior. So it's possible that the Takashi Hoshi from other countries did this, but the possibility is not very high. We can't jump to conclusions before we investigate thoroughly. Chapter 498. Returning from the 3rd line of defense to the camp where Qiao Shan and the others were resting, Qiao Shan was almost fully recovered. Fortunately, be it Wang Lan's group or the others in the camp, none of them were discovered by the exotic beasts. Actually, under normal circumstances, an ordinary scouting team would have a 70% chance of not being discovered by the exotic beasts. The reason why the ironclad beasts were able to discover Wang Lan's group in the Earth Crystal region was because they were mechanical life forms. There left, I was an advanced detector, equipped with telescopic vision, X-ray vision, and thermal sensing. Wang Lan and Qiao Shan didn't voice their suspicions. Qiao Shan led the group underground and continued their journey. They rested 3 times, during which they encountered a huge exotic beast. Although the huge exotic beast was as strong as a titled expert, it was nothing in front of Wang Lan. It was cut in half by Wang Lan's bright yang sword Qi, and didn't even have time to display its might as a titled expert. After 3 hours of hurrying, Wang Lan's group finally arrived at the front line of defense. The front line was a mess, and the huge camp was filled with traces of trampling. The Southern Regional Headquarters and the Western Regional Headquarters had the same idea, moving the regional headquarters to the front line. Therefore, the front line camp wasn't as simple and crude as the previous one, but more like a city. It occupied an area of 2 kilometers with all sorts of watchtowers and towers. There were countless cages and towers. The houses were built like bricks, resonating with the mountains. The lake was green, the same color as the sky. The camp was filled with traces of destruction by exotic beasts. The footprints of huge exotic beasts trampled across the camp. There were broken walls everywhere in the camp. However, the degree of destruction was different from what they had imagined. As the group walked through the camp, Xiao Shan's face grew darker and darker. Suddenly, Xiao Shan paused. "No, something is very wrong." "Sir Earthwalker, what's wrong?" A Starsea Realm asked curiously. "This degree of destruction isn't caused by an intense battle. If there was a battle, the camp should be more damaged. This is more like the damage caused by an exotic beast charge. It's trampled." "Seems like old Xiao noticed it too," Bai Xiaofeng said faintly, squinting his eyes. "You already knew?" "When Wang Lan and I went to the 3rd Defense Line to investigate, the situation there was similar to this one. But at the very least, the garrison regiment, there was still fighting against the exotic beasts. Aside from the sentry posts that were unguarded for some reason, allowing the exotic beasts to suddenly charge into the camp, the battle in the other areas was intense. But here, not only were the sentry posts not alerted, even the camp did not retaliate. This is a frontline camp with 20,000 soldiers. It's inconceivable that something like this would happen. So, someone infiltrated the camp first and then assassinated the entire camp. Only in this way would they be completely oblivious to the attacks of the exotic beasts, not even putting up any resistance. Unfortunately, the exotic beasts would eat all the corpses. It would be great if there were 1 or 2 corpses. At the very least, they would be able to see some clues. What is it that can make all our brothers, including 2 titled battle pet warriors, disappear without a trace? "Takashi Hoshi poison?" Bai Xiaofeng asked doubtfully. "No." Wang Lan shook his head. "If it's Takashi Hoshi poison, then it must be extremely poisonous and has a very wide range. It's only been a night since the incident. Takashi Hoshi poison shouldn't have completely evaporated so quickly. There must be some residue. But I just sensed it, and there's nothing. If it's not Takashi Hoshi poison, then what could it be?" Bai Xiaofeng was instantly confused. Suddenly, George stopped in his tracks and looked down at his feet. There was a circle of indentations on the stone floor under his feet, as if a pattern had been carved out. George took a step forward, and the gravel covering the pattern instantly rose into the air. After the gravel was cleaned up, a huge pattern appeared in front of them. The indentations at George's feet were only the tip of the iceberg. "This is the Earth's movement?" "That's right, the traces left behind by the Earth's movement. Sun Chang'an knows the Earth's movement, but he's most proficient in the fire element. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't use the Earth element Takashi Hoshi." As he spoke, George squatted down and pressed the Earth's movement. Suddenly, the ground beneath his feet rippled like water. Then, corpses slowly rose from the depths of the ground. Seeing these corpses, Wang Lan and the others' expressions changed. Sun Chang'an had used the Earth's movement to hide some of the corpses underground. This was because the Earth's movement was a special Takashi Hoshi technique, unlike other Earth element Takashi Hoshi techniques that simply buried corpses. More accurately speaking, the Earth's movement was a Takashi Hoshi technique that used the law of Earth to seal things. Anything swallowed by the Earth's movement would be assimilated into the Earth. Even if you dug 3 feet underground, you wouldn't be able to dig out what was swallowed up. Only by using the Gaia movement could one release the things that had been swallowed. But no one would have thought that what Sun Chang'an had hidden were corpses. Bai Xiaofeng's figure flashed and appeared in front of these corpses. These corpses were very strange. They were probably the pioneers of the camp, but there was a finger-sized hole in each of their foreheads. The hole was dark and deep, making one's scalp go numb. "What is this?" "Takashi Hoshi technique." Or is it something else? Jiang Xinyu carefully moved closer to Wang Lan and asked, "Why does it feel like they were poked out by a finger?" It shouldn't be. From these people's expressions, they didn't die without knowing anything. Their expressions were hideous and terrifying. They should have been killed while they were conscious. This means that when the beast tide came, everyone in the camp died in this state. Sun Chang'an kept these corpses to give us clues. There should be records of such strange wounds. Let's go back and check, Bai Xiaofeng said calmly as he stood up. At this moment, a golden-winged insect suddenly appeared. No one had noticed that a winged insect the size of a fingernail could move at such a speed. The moment it appeared, it viciously stabbed at the back of Bai Xiaofeng's head. "Be careful!" Wang Lan immediately screamed. Subconsciously, his sword's soul hummed. In an instant, a sword aura shot out from between his eyebrows and stabbed at Bai Xiaofeng. Bai Xiaofeng didn't even notice at this moment. He didn't even think that Wang Lan would suddenly attack him. The sword aura almost brushed past his ear and accurately intercepted the golden flying insect. Ding! There was a soft sound, but a terrifying ripple spread out. Wherever the ripple passed, the space exploded. Bai Xiaofeng's body flew backward instantly. He thought that such a small flying insect could be smashed into meat paste with a casual slap. Using bright yang sword aura to kill, it was a waste of talent. But he didn't expect this flying insect to be so tough. Not only was it not destroyed by the sword aura, it was also unharmed. The flying insect instantly rippled and turned into a stream of light before disappearing from Wang Lan's sight. This speed made Wang Lan's heart tremble. This speed was too fast, almost catching up to Sony's speed. At this moment, Bai Xiaofeng, who fell to the side, finally reacted. Wang Lan didn't ambush him. There must be something behind him. But right now, he couldn't see anything. The flying insect's speed was too fast. Even Wang Lan could only catch an afterimage in front of him. Xiao Shan looked at Wang Lan with a dumbfounded expression, as if he was fighting with the air. Suddenly, a Takashi Hoshi at the Star Ocean realm let out a blood-curdling scream and fell to the ground. The moment he fell, a pillar of blood spurted out from between his eyebrows. The flying insect instantly drilled out from the back of his head and rushed to the next target. Evil creature. Wang Lan was furious. A tiny insect actually dared to kill someone right under his nose. The problem was, what kind of exotic beast was this? Its body was so small, but its strength was too strong, right? Instantly, Wang Lan's body spread out. Although the hell butterfly's speed couldn't catch up with the flying insect, it could still flash. Flash was a type of space jump. No matter how fast it was, it couldn't be faster than space jump. The flying insect was like a bullet, ruthlessly crashing into the Galaxy Realm Reclaimer's forehead. The Galaxy Realm expert in front of him was still in a daze and didn't notice it at all. Wang Lan's eyes instantly shot out purple light. He appeared from a hell butterfly and slashed at the flying insect with his blade. Unexpectedly, the flying insect made another move, instantly changing its direction and rushing toward Jiang Xinyu, who was behind Wang Lan. This scene made Wang Lan's killing intent surge. In the nick of time, Wang Lan appeared from thin air and stabbed with his lightning-like sword. Dang! A loud sound like a bell was heard. The flying insect's body was sent flying by the sword. Wang Lan had used 70% of his strength in this attack. Even a titled martial artist would die if they were hit by this arrow. However, the flying insect didn't die. Even though it was severely injured, it could still move quickly and rush into thin air to escape. How could Wang Lan let it do as it wished? In a flash, he chased after the flying insect. However, this flying insect seemed to be very intelligent. Turning around to escape was just an illusion. Suddenly, the flying insect turned around at an even faster speed and rushed toward Wang Lan's forehead. Since you hit me, don't blame me for killing you. At this moment, Wang Lan seemed to be able to read the golden flying insect's mind. This feint was done too quickly. Even with Wang Lan's cunning fighting style, he was caught off guard by the flying insect's sudden attack. It was too late for him to counterattack. Fortunately, Wang Lan had self-healing and clone rebirth. It was impossible for him to kill that Takashi Hoshi in a second. At this critical moment, Wang Lan suddenly had an idea. The space in front of him rippled and the void storage was activated. The void storage was a portable space that couldn't store living things. Once a living thing was placed inside, it would die immediately. Generally speaking, once something was placed inside the void storage, even the 5 emperors would die. However, the void storage had too many limitations. The space ripples were very obvious, and the entrance was only the size of a basketball. It was too difficult to put a person inside in such a short period of time, unless the target's strength was much weaker than Wang Lan's. If that was the case, wouldn't it be easy to kill him? Was there a need to use the void storage? This was like annihilation. Although the aura of chaos could melt everything, there were too many limitations. Wang Lan couldn't use it in a battle between people of the same level. He could only use it to prevent others from self-destructing. However, the flying insect was small in size and had rushed over recklessly. Wasn't this dangerous situation prepared for the void storage? The moment the void storage was activated, the flying insect in front of him disappeared into the void storage. He closed the void storage instantly. Done. Chapter 499. Leapfrog Kill. Reward: 100,000 experience points, 8,000 skill points. What? Wang Lan almost fell from the sky when he heard the notification in his mind. You're telling me that I leapfrog kill a bug the size of a fingernail? Even a freaking bug's level is higher than mine? Of course, this surprise only lasted for a moment. Wang Lan only came back to his senses after that. How could a bug that could massacre the entire frontline base and even kill 2 titled experts be easy to deal with? At this moment, everyone present was looking at Wang Lan in a daze. The scene of the flying bug charging at Wang Lan seemed to have frozen in their vision. Then, a spatial ripple spread out and the flying bug disappeared. What's going on? Did it travel through space? Wang Lan, where's that flying bug? Bai Xiaofeng came to Wang Lan's side with a gloomy expression and asked in a low voice. He was the only one present who clearly understood how terrifying the flying bug was. Even though the flying bug had easily killed a Galaxy Realm Reclaimer, everyone else thought that it was impossible for a flying bug to kill a Starsea Realm expert, let alone a titled expert. However, Bai Xiaofeng was someone who almost died in the flying bug's hands. Hence, he clearly knew that it wasn't difficult for the flying bug to kill a titled expert, unless they found a way to restrain the flying bug. It's already dead, Wang Lan replied softly. What? It's dead? Bai Xiaofeng looked at Wang Lan in shock. You actually killed a flying bug that could easily kill me in an instant? I was still thinking about how to restrain the flying bug and didn't even have time to think of a way. But you killed it first? We've basically figured out the cause of this matter. Next, we need to find out what this flying bug is and whether there are many of them. We can go back now, Wang Lan said calmly as he looked around at everyone. This time, it seemed like they had only encountered a flying insect as an enemy. But this flying insect almost made everyone jump outside of the gates of hell. Wang Lan's suggestion was naturally what they wanted. Enveloped by George Mountain's stellar force, everyone disappeared without a trace. In a cave filled with thick fog, an oil lamp flickered. An old monk sat cross-legged with his eyes closed, meditating quietly. Suddenly, the light in front of him shook violently, and the old monk's eyes widened. When the old monk closed his eyes, he looked so benevolent. However, the moment the old monk opened his eyes, they were filled with ruthlessness and killing intent. Poof! Suddenly, the old monk shrieked and spat out a mouthful of blood. Venerable One of the World. Cries of alarm rang out as one figure after another rushed into the cave. When they saw the old monk vomiting blood, they were frightened out of their wits. Revered One of the World, how are you? Revered One of the World, what happened? Damn it! Damn it! My strongest golden cicada was killed. Damn it, damn it. Who did it? Who did it? You have to let me know that I'm going to suppress you in the abyss of hell, never to reincarnate. The moment he finished speaking, the old monk suddenly opened his arms and two golden flying insects flew out of his body. Seeing the appearance of the flying insects, the crowd that had been asking about the old monk's well-being suddenly screamed in horror and turned to escape. However, how could their escape speed compare to the speed of the golden cicada? In the blink of an eye, a large portion of the crowd collapsed, as if they had been killed by machine gun fire. Phew, phew! Can you not kill people in a fit of anger? Do you still look like a monk at all? If Buddha knew that a scum like you had appeared in Buddhism, he would be so angry that he would cleanse the sect. As he spoke, a figure gradually appeared from thin air. It was a strange figure that was wrapped in white tights and had a hood that stuck to his face like a swimming cap. By killing them, I'm sending them to the afterlife. How is that wrong? For major precepts, for minor precepts. Which one have you not broken? Oof. Forget it. Why did you do it this time? My golden cicada is dead. The golden cicada that was sealed by Sun Chang'an, the white-clothed man said emotionlessly. That's right. Sun Chang'an's earth movement is indeed very powerful. As long as it is within the range of his seal, everything will be assimilated and sealed. However, I don't think it's possible to kill the golden cicada so quickly. When the people from Jade State unlock the earth movement, it shouldn't be difficult to escape with the speed of the golden cicada. Could it be that D was the one who unlocked the earth movement? I don't think so. Anyway, my golden cicada died peacefully. I don't even know how it died. Damn it. Without the golden cicada, I've lost at least 30% of my strength. That much? Nonsense. If it weren't for the loss of so much of my combat power, would I be so angry? I originally wanted to fight for the vacancy left by Sony, but now it seems that I'm lucky to be able to keep my position. Since you've lost so much of your strength, where did you get the confidence to talk to me like this? If I didn't know better, I would have thought that your strength had increased instead of decreased. Ba, don't think that you can provoke me just because you're wings of heaven. Even Sony didn't dare to talk to me like this. Do you think you're worthy? I don't want to continue arguing with you. In the end, we'll have to fight. All right, get ready for the mission. At the Cloud Sea Space Reclamation Headquarters, Shun Xiaowu was methodically issuing orders to prepare for the recovery of the southern region. However, he kept looking at the timer on the wall. Wang Lan and the rest had left for more than 6 hours. He didn't know if they had reached the front line and obtained any important information. In other words, he didn't know if they had met the culprit who caused the collapse of the southern region. It wasn't that Shun Xiaowu was worried about the strength of Wang Lan and the rest, but the collapse of the southern region was too unbelievable. Before Wang Lan had left, Shun Xiaowu and Black Fox had analyzed the situation on the sand table countless times. They couldn't understand how the Beast Tide managed to escape the notice of 5 lines of defense. They couldn't even send out a military report before the 5 lines of defense collapsed. No matter how they analyzed, they couldn't figure out how all 5 lines of defense collapsed in one night. The final conclusion made them feel like they were sitting on pins and needles. Only if the first line of defense was completely wiped out before the Beast Tide arrived could the Beast Tide silently approach the second line of defense. Only when the Beast Tide approached the second line of defense and the 1,000 soldiers at the second line of defense became deaf and blind could the Beast Tide rush through the second line of defense and reach the third line of defense. What kind of power could do this? Was it a vanguard formed by a few abyssal beasts? That was impossible. Just when Shun Xiao was feeling uneasy, the chief of staff opened the door and said excitedly, "Chief Commander, they're back. Quick, let them in." It was still Wang Lan and the rest who walked into the command room. "How is it? What did you find?" "I found it." Before the Beast Tide arrived, the frontline division headquarters and the brothers at the first line of defense were basically all dead. Not to mention resisting the Beast Tide. The Beast Tide rushed into the first line of defense without any injuries. We didn't see any resistance until we reached the third line of defense, but it was too late. The watchtowers, walls, and sentry towers were all removed. So it was like that. Was it an enemy country or an enemy organization? Shen Xiaowu's face instantly turned as cold as ice. "We're not sure yet." Wang Lan shook his head. The killer was a kind of golden bug. As he spoke, He opened the void storage and took out the golden cicada and placed it on Shun Xiaowu's desk. Don't be fooled by its small size. Its strength is terrifying. More than 20,000 brothers of the frontline camp and 2 titled experts died in its hands. Our team almost died in its hands too. After Wang Lan's explanation, Shun Xiaowu stared at the golden bug with a serious expression. This bug was already dead. Dead bugs looked a little like cicadas in the outside world. Its entire body was golden, like an extremely high-quality product made of gold. Even every strand of hair on the golden cicada's body could be seen clearly. Such a small bug has such power? Shun Xiaowu looked at it in disbelief. Chief of Staff, immediately investigate what this bug is. Yes. After waiting for about an hour, the Chief of Staff hurried over. Commander-in-Chief, I've found it. This bug is called the six-winged golden cicada. It's the national treasure of the Man Nation. Bang! Shun Xiaowu was furious when he heard this. He slammed the table and stood up. Man Nation, how dare you? You're courting death. If it was a beast, they would have lost without a word. If it was a bird of paradise, they wouldn't be so angry even if they hated it. But it was a Man Nation, right under the nose of the Jade State. How dare a small country like the Man Nation? What is this six-winged golden cicada? How can it be so powerful? Wang Lan asked doubtfully. The six-winged silkworm first appeared 100 years ago. At that time, the war between demons and demons was at its fiercest. At that time, the state preceptor of the Man Nation obtained 7 golden cicadas from somewhere. Each golden cicada had a different power and was very powerful. The originally weak Man Nation relied on these 7 golden cicadas to repeatedly inflict heavy losses on the demons in East Asia. The state preceptor of the Man Nation was the only hero who killed 10,000 demons. These 10,000 demons were not biochemical demons, nor were they low-level demons. They were the real elite demons. The matter is almost clear. El Niño caused the space reclamation of various countries to collide. The experts of the Man Nation came in and carried out this sneak attack. They even tried to frame the beast tide. Now that we have the golden cicada, let's see how they explain it. After venting his anger, Shun Xiaowu slowly calmed down. Wang Lan, you did very well this time. Now that the space reclamation of the Cloud Sea is stable, I'll give you a few days off. You can rest in the spatial city or go back to rest as you wish. Thank you, Commander-in-Chief. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu saluted and thanked him. As for rest, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu both needed it. Especially Jiang Xinyu, who had just broken through to the Starsea realm and had not completely stabilized. Moreover, she still needed to learn the virtuous like water and bright yang sword art. These 2 Takashi Hoshi skills had a very high starting point and were not easy to get started with. The way to quickly improve Jiang Xinyu's strength was to let Jiang Xinyu learn a few more S-rank Takashi Hoshi skills. However, in Wang Lan's view, with a virtuous like water and bright yang sword art, the other S-rank Takashi Hoshi skills were of little value. If she learned them, she might be able to improve her combat strength in a short time. However, in the long term, she would mainly rely on the virtuous like water and bright yang sword art. Instead of wasting time, it was better to learn these 2 Takashi Hoshi skills as soon as possible. Wang Lan had not learned the virtuous like water, so he could not do anything. However, Wang Lan had a way to learn the bright yang sword art. After transferring a strand of sword chi to Jiang Xinyu to speed up her mastery, he could also let Wang Lan transfer a strand of sword chi to her as a catalyst for her advancement in the bright yang sword art. However, because he had not had time to implement it. Chapter 500. The 2 didn't stay in the in-high space, but returned to Mo-Du. Although the city in the space reclamation was huge, it was basically a ghost town. Moreover, it was still El Niño, so all the Takashi Hoshi were on standby. There was no one in the city. The 2 only went out to eat and relax on the first day. Other than that, they spent the rest of the time at home. Wang Lan successfully helped Jiang Xinyu produce sword chi by injecting sword chi into her. Then, she spent 7 days stimulating the condensation of sword qi. With Wang Lan as her sparring partner, Jiang Xinyu improved rapidly. After 7 days, Jiang Xinyu had already cultivated the bright yang sword art to the point of sword ray. Once the sword ray was released, who could compete with it? Coupled with her exquisite sword art, Jiang Xinyu's combat strength had truly reached the middle stage of the Star Sea realm. She had the combat strength of the middle stage of the Star Sea realm in the early stage of the Star Sea realm. This was already ahead of 90% of the early stage Star Sea realm experts. Only by reaching this step did Jiang Xinyu's anxious mood calm down. She felt that she wasn't too far behind Wang Lan. It was another sunny day. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu woke up in each other's arms. This time, it wasn't Xiao AI's automatic alarm clock that woke them up. Instead, it was a rapid ringtone. Hello, Wang Lan, are you in MO? It's Cheng Zue. Is there a mission? Please tell me. I knew you were on vacation. I thought you were in Yanhai. I didn't expect you to run back to MO. The head of the National Defense Department is looking for you everywhere. Hurry up and come to the Heavenly Sword Bureau. There's a mission. Yes. What's wrong? A gentle voice sounded beside her. The silk quilt slid down from Jiang Xinyu's body. I don't know. Cheng Zue asked me to go to the Heavenly Sword Bureau. I'll go first and let Xiao AI order food for you. If it's not urgent, I'll come back. Yes, be careful. After watching Wang Lan leave, the smile on Jiang Xinyu's face disappeared, and a trace of worry appeared in her heart again. Now Jiang Xinyu was more and more like a housewife, which was unimaginable to the Jiang Xinyu of the past. In the past, Jiang Xinyu would never worry about a man. She would be happy if he was happy. She would worry if he went out. She would only think about this man. Even now, she was unaware of these changes. He got into the smart sports car and sped all the way to the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Then, he was directly called to Cheng Jianlong's office. Committee member Jean, whom he had met once in the office, was also there. Reporting. Our hero is here. You and Zhen left in a huff, hiding your achievements and fame. In order to find you, I have made more than a dozen calls. Chief, if you say that, I'm ashamed. Well, you don't have to be humble. There are 3 things I want to talk to you about. The first is to congratulate you. Because of your outstanding performance and achievements in the Yanhai space exploration, I, on behalf of the Jade State, confer you the title of Takashi Hoshi. The title is Greedy Wolf. Greedy Wolf, the star of the Northern Expedition. Once the Greedy Wolf is out, he will not turn back until he kills the enemy. From today onwards, your glory is the glory of the Jade State, and the glory of the Jade State is your mission. I hope you will live up to the title given to you by the Jade State, and live up to the prestige of a titled powerhouse. Yes. Thank you, Jade State. Thank you, Chief. Congratulations to the host for receiving the honor of being awarded a title. You are rewarded with 300,000 skill points. A prompt sounded in his mind. Secondly, in view of Comrade Wang Lan's efforts in suppressing the beast tide in the Cloud Sea, saving the lives of tens of thousands of soldiers, and redeeming the results of more than 10 years of space exploration. After discussion with the Military Commission of the Ministry of National Defense, Wang Lan will be conferred the title of Major General. I hope that Comrade Wang Lan will continue to work hard to live up to the expectations of the country and defend the Jade State and make new contributions. Cheng Jianlong was not the only one who was surprised. Even Wang Lan was shocked. Was he a general? A general was a completely different rank from a colonel. Even if a senior colonel was only 1 rank lower than a major general, a senior colonel could only be considered an intermediate officer, while a general was a senior officer. The difficulty of being promoted from a senior colonel to a major general was the sum of the difficulty of being promoted from a soldier to a senior colonel. A person could be promoted from a lieutenant to a senior colonel in 10 years, but that person might not be able to be promoted from a senior colonel to a major general in 15 years. Most people were promoted to a general by virtue of their position, and some positions could only be held by a major general. This kind of promotion could be said to be done by virtue of one's position. For example, Lu Zhao from the Heavenly Sword Bureau was promoted to a major general because of the promotion of the Heavenly Sword Bureau. However, Wang Lan did not even have a real position. Without a position, he was promoted to a major general by virtue of his achievements and strength. Moreover, he was only 20 years old, which was terrifying. However, Wang Lan's contribution this time was truly too great. In the southwest region and the west region, Wang Lan had single-handedly suppressed the two large-scale beast hordes. She had truly achieved the feat of single-handedly guarding a region. Therefore, the title of a major general was well-deserved. No one dared to jump out and say otherwise. Congratulations to the host for being promoted to a major general. The reward is 300,000 skill points. When the epaulette was changed to the star of a general, a prompt sounded in his mind. Wang Lan, I am very pleased to see your achievements. However, there's a tricky task that requires you to go abroad. Go abroad? Wang Lan's eyes flashed. To the Vine Country. That's right. You were the one who experienced what happened in the Cloud Sea. Tens of thousands of soldiers were killed without any reason. The Jade State will never let this matter rest. Since it was the Vine Country who did it, let's get them to give us an explanation. Can they afford it? Moreover, the Vine Country keeps saying that this matter has nothing to do with them. They are willing to open their country for us to investigate. If we don't investigate this matter, it will be too overbearing. Yu Ruiyun from the General Staff Department has worked with you many times. The two of you are also the best among the younger generation. Therefore, number one wants you to investigate the Vine Country together. You will depart from Shanghai tomorrow morning. Yu Ruiyun just took off from the imperial capital and will arrive in Shanghai in 2 hours. Yes, if there is nothing else, you can go back and prepare. Remember, we don't cause trouble outside, but we are not afraid of trouble. Don't ruin the prestige of the Jade State. Yes. Wang Lan left the Heavenly Sword Bureau and returned to the Phoenix Square directly. From the time he went to the Heavenly Sword Bureau to the time he returned, less than an hour had passed. Jiang Xinyu was surprised to see Wang Lan return so quickly. You haven't eaten breakfast yet? No. Xiao AI ordered another set for me. Wang Lan walked into the room with a smile. Suddenly, he hugged Jiang Xinyu and spun her around. What are you doing? Why are you so happy? Jiang Xinyu's face showed a gentle smile. Look, do I look any different from when I went out? Jiang Xinyu's eyes swept over Wang Lan. When she saw Wang Lan's epaulette, her pupils suddenly shrank. You were promoted to general? Yes, general. The youngest major general in the Jade State. In the future, when I introduce myself to others, I can say that I am... Ha ha ha. Isn't it very impressive? You were called to the Heavenly Sword Bureau to give you a title? That's not right. If it was a title, why did you come back so quickly? I was given the title of Greedy Wolf and the title of Major General. I also have a mission. Tomorrow, I will go abroad with Yu Ruiyun to the Man Kingdom. Hearing this, Jiang Xinyu's expression changed slightly. Is it because of the Yunhai space exploration? Isn't that going deep into the enemy's territory? Going deep into the enemy's territory is exaggerated. First of all, your husband is not a weak scholar who can't even trust a chicken. With me and Yu Ruiyun working together, even a Star Soul stage expert can't stop us. But the Man Kingdom can't. Moreover, we have the Jade State behind us. Even if the Man Kingdom ate a bear's heart and leopard's gall, they won't dare to touch us. We're just going to find trouble and investigate what is going on. Can I go with you? It's best if you don't. You can take advantage of this time to practice virtuous like water. After listening to you these days, virtuous like water isn't a water Takashi Hoshi technique. Instead, it's a technique that cultivates the law of water. Even if you're just a beginner, you will have the strength of a titled soul stage expert. If you're able to cultivate it to a small success, you can easily reach the Star Soul stage. And Jiang Xinyu had become very obedient recently, and she answered obediently. On this day, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu were still cultivating as usual. Both of them were hardworking people and didn't have any hobbies, so they were happy to stay at home. At dusk, Jiang Xinyu's phone suddenly rang. The caller ID showed that it was Yu Ruiyun. Hello, Xinyu, where are you now? I am in Shanghai. I am in the Phoenix Plaza. I will ask Wang Lan to pick you up. No need. I will be there soon. Before Yu Ruiyun graduated, she was closer to Wang Lan. Even if she lived in the same dormitory as Jiang Xinyu, there was still some distance between her and Jiang Xinyu. But after Yu Ruiyun graduated, the chain of relationship suddenly reversed. Wang Lan didn't notice anything strange, but Jiang Xinyu had some guesses. When they lived together, the two of them were a little distant. Now that they rarely met, Jiang Xinyu felt that the halo around Yu Ruiyun suddenly disappeared. The meticulous Jiang Xinyu felt that Yu Ruiyun did this on purpose, but she couldn't figure out why. If Jiang Xinyu had such a sharp ability to read people's minds, she would have discovered the relationship between CSCC and Wang Lan. Why did she call me and not you? After hanging up the phone, Jiang Xinyu asked Wang Lan in confusion. If Jiang Xinyu asked about CSCC, Wang Lan might feel a little guilty. But if she asked about Yu Ruiyun, Wang Lan had a clear conscience. There was nothing between him and Yu Ruiyun, so his thoughts were naturally simple and direct. What other reason could there be? It's not like she doesn't know that we live together. You are a girl, so why would she call me instead of you? Isn't there a saying on the internet? Fire, theft, and best friends. A smart woman will pay attention to prevent misunderstandings. But tomorrow you're going abroad for a mission together. Isn't it more reasonable to call you? I feel that she called me on purpose. Forget it. I am thinking too much. You will leave together tomorrow and let Ruiyun stay at our place tonight? Otherwise, we can't let her stay at a hotel. That's not a friend. Do you want to pick her up at the airport? She said that she will be here soon. After a while, Xiao AI announced, Wang Lan, Miss Yu Ruiyun is here. Let her come up. Chapter 501. Princess Cha, she did not have the talent of Takashi Hoshi. She was just an ordinary person. However, she had a peerless beauty. Her appearance was a combination of Chinese and Western beauty standards. No man could pick out a single flaw from her facial features. Princess Cha, she was not only beautiful, but her figure was also perfect. Man AI had said many times in public that Princess Cha, she was a perfect masterpiece of God. She was a treasure given to him by God. If Man AI was not Cha Shi's biological father, he would not be able to resist the charm of Princess Cha Shi. Man AI also believed that no young man in the world could resist the charm of Cha Shi, even if Cha Shi was just an ordinary person. Cha Shi, Father has a task for you. I hope you can help Father. Father, what task? Tonight, I will invite 2 young people from Jade State to dinner. You and Father should accompany them. One of them is the son of Yin Emperor of Jade State, Wang Lan. The other is the second princess of Jade State. Although Cha Shi's natural disposition was naive and unaffected, how many children of the royal family were truly naive? She immediately understood Father's meaning. To be friends with Princess Yu, the son of the Flame Emperor? If that was the case, Father would not say that. The main point should be the son of Yin Emperor. I understand. I will get along well with them. Princess Cha, she calmly replied. Her face did not show any strange emotions. I know that you have admired heroes since you were young. Your vision is very high. None of the heroes of our man country can enter your eyes. However, this son of Yin Emperor is really extraordinary. Oh, Princess Cha, she's face changed. He is very powerful? Even King Yusei is powerful? They're all powerful. Yin Emperor's son is only 2 years older than you. However, he is already a titled expert of Jade State and a major general of Jade State. With his strength, even the state preceptor might not be his opponent. Cha Shi's face showed a smile. Is he that powerful? Then I really want to get to know him. At night, the royal palace of the Vine Nation was quietly but enthusiastically busy. An inconspicuous sedan drove through the dark night and slowly stopped at the entrance of the palace manor. The car door opened, and under Lu Yun's lead, a man and a woman in military uniform got out of the car and stepped into the manor under the guidance of the attendant. Welcome, Ambassador Lu. These 2 must be Major General Wang Lan and Princess Yu from Jade State, right? I've heard a lot about you. Wang Lan, Yun, this is the king of Man Country, Man AI. Lu Yun introduced to the 2 of them. Greetings, Your Majesty. You're really young and talented. I'm really envious of the Jade State for being able to nurture talents like you. If only our Vine Kingdom had people like you. You flatter me, Your Majesty. People like us can't be considered as elites in the Jade State. At most, we are just a little bit outstanding, Wang Lan said modestly with a smile. He said modestly, but it also gave a soft nail. Man AI's expression changed slightly, and then she put on a smile. This is my daughter, Cha Shi. She's 18 years old this year, similar to your age. Let my daughter accompany you. You young people have more in common. Ambassador Liu, this way, please. As the host, Liu Yin responded with a smile, and then she said to Wang Lan and Rune, don't wander around. Okay, Cha, she was very beautiful. Not only did Wang Lan think so, but Ru Yin also thought so. It could be said that Cha, she was the most beautiful girl they had ever seen in their lives. She was so beautiful that it was breathtaking. And this girl was innocent and romantic, like a fairy surrounding Wang Lan. She kept asking Wang Lan if he was very powerful, if he was stronger than the superheroes of White Eagle. If it was an ordinary man, he would have been fascinated by Cha Shi. He would definitely brag about his strength, and then enjoy Cha Shi's admiring and amazed eyes. But Wang Lan was very distressed, because he really felt that this woman was a bit annoying, and the questions she asked were too childish. Cha Shi would never understand how much childish torment a person with an adult soul had experienced in the process of growing up. It could be said that Wang Lan already had a fear of childishness. Usually, when he saw children, he would consciously hide far away. Except for Song Jia and the pitiful Hu Fei, Wang Lan was unwilling to get close to children. Big brother Wang Lan, are you already a peak Star Sea Realm expert? You're only 20 years old, and you're already standing at the peak of the world? The state teacher said that it's impossible to break through Star Sea Realm before 35 years old. You're too amazing. If he can't break through Star Sea Realm at 35 years old, then he won't have a chance in this lifetime. And Star Sea Realm is far from the peak of the world. Isn't it? Isn't Takeshi Hoshi the highest level in Star Sea Realm? Maybe it's just Man Country's highest. Big brother Wang Lan, you're so outstanding. There must be a lot of girls who like you, right? And there are also a lot of boys who like me. Cough, cough, cough. Wang Lan followed Liu Yun's instructions and didn't run around. Cha Shi wanted to bring Wang Lan to tour the palace, but was rejected. Going to visit Cha Shi's bedroom was also rejected. Even accompanying her for a walk in the garden was also rejected. Cha Shi only felt that Wang Lan was a stone sculpture. No matter what Cha Shi did to Wang Lan, he was unmoved. Cha Shi even suspected that her charm was exaggerated. Actually, she wasn't that beautiful, and when Wang Lan was being pestered by Princess Cha Shi on the second floor of the palace manor, a middle-aged monk's gaze seemed to be able to see through the void and watch Wang Lan's every move. Of course, Man AI didn't really intend to use Princess Cha Shi to capture Wang Lan. Of course, if Wang Lan was so easy to capture, it would also be very good. However, Man AI also did intelligence work for Wang Lan. Although she didn't know much about Wang Lan, she still had a general idea. It just so happened that Wang Lan was being promoted as a hero of the new generation in Jade State, the leader of the younger generation. Therefore, she more or less knew about Wang Lan's deeds. Nemesis of demons, nemesis of birds of paradise, the #1 genius of the younger generation, a character who was even more peerless than Princess Jade. Such a person was definitely the future of Jade State. And Jade State would also train Wang Lan to become the future. This young man was definitely not simple. If Wang Lan, who was surrounded by so many halos, was captivated by Cha Shi's beauty, then Wang Lan was nothing to be feared. The Jade State had already sent Wang Lan and Princess Jade to the Man Kingdom. Their attitude was already very strong. The two were titled battle pet warriors, a major general and a colonel. Both of them were peerless figures of a Jade State. Their resolute attitude made Man AI very uneasy. It was very likely that the fate of the Man Kingdom was in the hands of these two people. If she couldn't persuade the two on the basis of righteousness, Man AI hoped that Wang Lan would maintain a good impression of the Man Kingdom in private. This was the reason why she sacrificed her precious daughter. She believed that no matter how excellent Wang Lan was, he was still a normal man. Which man didn't love beautiful women? She asked the state preceptor to observe here because she hoped to see Wang Lan's depth. She wanted to see if there were any flaws in his character that could be exploited. The Man Kingdom was at the edge of a cliff. They needed to use everything that could be used to slow down the speed of falling off the cliff. However, the state preceptor had been watching Wang Lan for almost an hour. Wang Lan didn't show any signs of being attracted to Cha Shi. In fact, during this hour, Wang Lan didn't even sneak a glance at Cha Shi. Was it because Cha Shi's charm wasn't enough? Definitely not. It was because Wang Lan's temperament was too steady, too terrifying. Your Majesty, I suggest that you don't expect to find a breakthrough from Wang Lan. He is even more difficult to deal with than Lu Yun. This young man doesn't look like a 20-year-old boy at all. His temperament has reached the realm of indifference. He is not restraining Princess Cha Shi's charm, but Princess Cha Shi's charm is really ineffective on him. Is that so? The Jade State is aggressive. This time, on the surface, it is to investigate the truth, but in fact, it is just a formality. As long as the formality is over, the Jade State will mobilize the 5 Permanent to impose sanctions on the Man Kingdom. What about the Man Kingdom? We didn't do it. If the Jade State really wants to oppress us, we can just fight. Can we win? We can't win, but we will be beaten to death anyway. At least we will die a heroic death if we resist. The Imperial Tutor slowly closed his eyes and let out a long sigh. Don't waste time. Let's have a frank talk with the two of you. We can't interfere with the Jade State's decision. Fine. Relying on Cha Shi to buy some time for the Man Kingdom was useless, so there was no point in delaying. It was better to talk frankly and decide life and death as soon as possible. An attendant slowly walked over. Your Highness Wang Lan, Your Highness Princess Yu, our king invites you. Please come with me. Okay. Wang Lan, who had been annoyed by Cha Shi, quickly stood up. Cha Shi, on the other hand, was still somewhat unsatisfied. Following the attendant into the royal palace, Wang Lan quickly met up with Ambassador Lu Yun. Following the attendant's lead, the 3 of them entered the king's reception hall. In the reception hall, Wang Lan also saw a monk wearing a red kasaya. Presumably, he was the state preceptor of the country of Man. Please sit down. Manai quickly greeted them and let Wang Lan and the other 2 sit on the sofa in the reception room. Looking at the military uniforms of the 2, Manai's eyes flashed with envy. This is the state preceptor of our Man Kingdom, State Preceptor Changhai. He is also suspected by the Jade State to be the murderer of the massacre in the Cloud Sea space. But I dare to use the fate of the Man Kingdom to guarantee that the massacre in the Cloud Sea space has nothing to do with the Man Kingdom. Whether it has anything to do with the Man Kingdom or not, I'm sorry. Please forgive my frankness. I'm a warrior and also a soldier, so I'm more direct. After Wang Lan heard it, he didn't give any face and retorted. 6-winged golden cicada is the divine creature of the Man Kingdom. It has always been an important bargaining chip of the Man Kingdom. But now, 6-winged golden cicada invaded the Cloud Sea space and killed tens of thousands of Takashi Hoshi soldiers of the Jade State. To be honest, this time the Jade State only sent us and not a fighter. The Jade State is already very restrained. I hope Your Majesty the King can understand our feelings. The Jade State is very angry now. Of course I understand. If I were to put myself in their shoes, I think I would have already declared war. Changhai, tell the 2 special ambassadors of the Jade State about the cause and effect of 6-winged golden cicada. Yes. Changhai responded and then slowly said, 6-winged golden cicada was accidentally obtained by my ancestral master in a secret realm more than 100 years ago. It was a divine insect refined by an ancient venomous insect. My ancestral master obtained the inheritance and inherited these 7 divine insects. Chapter 502. Each of the 7 golden cicadas has a unique ability, and each of them is very powerful. In the past, the ancestor used the 6-winged golden cicada to kill the demons. After defeating the demons, the ancestor became the state teacher of the man country, and the seven-winged golden cicadas became the divine objects of my sect, as well as the divine objects of the man country. The six-winged golden cicadas have been passed down for 4 generations in the man country until something happened 30 years ago. The ancestor had 2 disciples. One was my master, who was also the state teacher, and the other was my great martial uncle. My great martial uncle was amazing, and his talent and martial arts were above my master's. At that time, everyone in the country thought that my great martial uncle would inherit the ancestor's legacy, and even my master thought so. Therefore, everyone called my great martial uncle the venerable of the world. Unexpectedly, the ancestor chose my master as his successor. Thus, my great martial uncle held a grudge, and one night, my great martial uncle suddenly assassinated the ancestor and stole 2 six-winged golden cicadas. The golden cicadas would only recognize a new master when the previous master died. My great martial uncle secretly learned the secret method and betrayed the ancestor. The golden cicada that the Jade State obtained was one of the stolen golden cicadas, the King Kong golden cicada. Drink? So, you want to push all the blame to a wanted criminal? And then you want to tell the Jade State that it has nothing to do with you? That wanted criminal did it? Lu Yun asked with a sneer. That's the truth. If the man country's answer is like this, I think we can return to our country tomorrow. I will report the man country's answer truthfully to the higher-ups. Lu Yun and the other 2 stood up and were about to leave. Don't, Ambassador Lu. Your country's leader won't accept this reason. Man AI hurriedly stopped Wang Lan and the other 2. So your majesty also knows the reason why our country won't accept it? Hearing this, Man AI's face became even redder. Previously, she had thought that the Jade State was just going through the motions when they said that they would send people to investigate. So when she saw Lu Yun and the others were about to leave, she couldn't help but blurt it out. But it was too much of a slap in the face, and she didn't even believe her own reason. How could she win the trust of the Jade State? Amipa. The state preceptor suddenly chanted the name of Buddha and slowly stood up. This is indeed the case, but to say that the Man Kingdom has no responsibility is also unreasonable. The King Kong golden cicada was the strongest golden cicada. The King Kong golden cicada. Man countries was afraid of man countries' interests, countries' interests. So they deliberately. After all these years, they had publicly admitted that the 7 golden cicadas were in the Man Nation. If the Man Nation was honest 30 years ago, the Jade Nation wouldn't suspect the Man Nation for what happened today, right? Today, I'll give Jade State an explanation with my life. Jade State's special envoy can bring me back to Jade State, and I'll hand over my 6-winged golden cicada. The 6-winged golden cicada is an ancient divine object. It won't age or die, and its value is no less than a set of ancient cultivation methods. Is this enough to explain to Jade State? If you put it this way, it would seem that Jade Country is being unreasonable and overbearing. Urian frowned and said faintly, Then what does your country want? Man AI was confused and directly gave up the initiative. We have to catch the real culprit, and Man Country has to compensate Jade State's loss. In any case, Man Country has always said that all 7 6-winged golden cicadas are in Man Country, but now they say that 2 of them were taken away. We can't explain it to our people. Of course, catching the real culprit is reasonable, but compensating for the loss. Man AI's face turned ugly. Man Country can't afford this loss, right? How could they not know how big Jade State's loss was? Tens of thousands of pioneers died. Although it was because of the El Nino beast tide, the real reason was that the frontline command center was assassinated and the rear guard couldn't get the information in time. How could Man Country afford the loss of tens of thousands of Takashi Hoshi's lives? Our country will send another special envoy to discuss this matter. Now, you should tell us about the person who took away the 2 golden cicadas. Okay, that year, eldest martial uncle took away the 2 golden cicadas and disappeared. Master inherited the position of state teacher and still had 5 golden cicadas. Eldest martial uncle left for more than 20 years without any news, until 7 years ago, when eldest Martial Uncle came to Man Country with 7 Celestial Ocean Realm experts. Eldest Martial Uncle came to snatch Master's 5 golden cicadas. Although Master repelled eldest Martial Uncle and a group of experts in that battle, he was also seriously injured and didn't have much time left. That night, Master invited His Majesty to discuss the matter of the throne. If the golden cicadas are passed to me, then eldest Martial Uncle will come to snatch Man Country again, and no one will be able to stop him. Experts at eldest Martial Uncle's level can enter and leave Man Country as if they are entering an uninhabited land. In the end, we decided that I will inherit the 2 golden cicadas, and my 3 junior brothers will each inherit 1 golden cicada. My 3 junior brothers will each go to different places and conceal their identities, not contacting each other. Apart from His Majesty and me, no third person can know their whereabouts. And I will also stay in the temple all year round without taking half a step out to protect the golden cicadas. That year, Master said that eldest Martial Uncle's ambition is not dead and that he will definitely come to snatch all of the golden cicadas. Especially this time, the golden cicadas were killed by Jade State, and his strength was greatly damaged. This poor monk speculates that he will definitely come looking for us. State Preceptor, do you mean that we should just wait here and do nothing? I guess eldest Martial Uncle's patience won't be too good. Never mind, Jade State and Man Country are neighbors. If teacher has news of my eldest Martial Uncle, I will definitely notify Jade State at first notice. Right? Speaking of which, this poor monk also has some doubts. At that time, during the El Nino Beast Tide, the neighboring countries all suffered disastrous losses. Although it's a pity that Jade State's southern region was completely destroyed, it's not worth mentioning compared to the losses of our 3 countries. 90% of the Man Country's open space has been swallowed by the beasts. Now, we are only left with less than 10 kilometers of open space. Less than 10 kilometers? So serious? Lu Yun, who had long been trained to remain calm, couldn't help but exclaim at this moment. What did it mean to be less than 10 kilometers? Even alternate space was bigger than this. In other words, the Man Country's open space was in a precarious situation, and they could make a mistake at any time and allow the beast to rush out. Originally, this poor monk thought that this beast tide was too strong, which led to the failure of the front line. This poor monk didn't realize it until the notice from your country came 5 days ago. The front line has failed, and the beasts are already less than 50 kilometers away from our open space. My country's men have risked their lives to block the attack of the beasts from 10 kilometers away. Could it be that our front line has also encountered the same situation as Jade State? Wang Lan's first reaction was to shift the blame. Was he looking for an excuse for his incompetence? But on second thought, the Takashi Hoshi of the Man Country was actually not weak. In the East Asian continent, the Jade State was the strongest, but among the small countries under it, the Man Country was definitely the 3rd strongest. Even if it was much weaker than the Jade State, it shouldn't be to the extent of being attacked to the entrance of the open space, right? It wasn't completely impossible. Didn't you send anyone to investigate? We did. In the past 5 days, we sent more than 10 reconnaissance teams, but none of them came back. I'm afraid they won't be able to come back. Originally, this poor monk wanted to investigate personally, but because of the Jade State's matter, this poor monk didn't leave. Special Envoy Wang Lan, since you are here to investigate, why don't we go to the front line together and see if there are any saboteurs? Wang Lan quietly cast a glance at Lu Yun. Lu Yun moved closer to Wang Lan's ear and said, I'm only responsible for arranging your daily life and logistics. You can do whatever you want in the investigation. It's up to you whether you want to or not. Wang Lan, say yes. Suddenly, Yuri Yun's voice passed into Wang Lan's ear like a thin thread, but the others couldn't hear it at all. Our purpose is to investigate the truth. How to get back the losses from the Man Country is someone else's concern. Since this is a clue, we have no reason to not investigate. Well, then please go with us to the open space to investigate. Well, everyone, the dinner is ready. Let's eat first and talk about it after dinner. How about it? Man AI interrupted everyone and said, the investigation of the open space was tomorrow, so after dinner, Wang Lan and Yu Riyun returned to the embassy together. How credible do you think the man country's words are? After returning to the embassy, Wang Lan asked Yu Riyun. It should be 90%. This is consistent with the information obtained by the General Staff Department. Yu Riyun took off her military uniform and revealed the white shirt inside. Aren't you hot? Why don't you take off your clothes? Fortunately, I don't need to. Consistent with the information obtained by the General Staff Department? Has the General Staff Department already investigated? Of course, the General Staff Department would pay attention to what happened in the neighboring countries. Just like 30 years ago, the heir of the state preceptor was replaced by the Jade State as a friendly neighbor. How could they not pay attention to it? So what State Preceptor Cheng Hai said is basically the truth, and the secret behind the death of State Preceptor Xian Chen 7 years ago is also true. If the General Staff Department has already investigated it, then why are we still here? Wang Lan asked, puzzled. Although the culprit behind the Cloud Sea Space incident might be the previous Xinfa world god, shouldn't the man country pay for it? Also, if it was just to get along, they wouldn't have sent us. The higher-ups want to catch the Xinfa world god and punish him as a warning to others. Also, we suspect that the Xinfa world god defected and joined the Birds of Paradise. Oh? Is our information too good, or is the man country unwilling to tell us? Wang Lan was confused. How could the Jade State know more than the man country? If the man country knew, they would have kicked the ball to the Birds of Paradise. Decades ago, the United Nations had a convention that if a traitor joined the Birds of Paradise, he would no longer have any relationship with the country. If the man country knew that the Xinfa world god had joined the Birds of Paradise, how could they be so honest? Our informant who infiltrated the Birds of Paradise once sent back a report. The number 1 expert in the Birds of Paradise is the sonic speed user. Number 2 is the Wings of Paradise. And number 3 is the world god. I suspect that this world god is the Xinfa world god. So, the Birds of Paradise used El Niño to launch a terrorist attack. That should be the case. On the other side, in the man country's palace, after today's banquet, man AI's mood improved a lot. State Preceptor, it seems that the Jade State is not as unreasonable as we thought. I originally thought that the Jade State would be aggressive, but now it seems that they still believe in us and are willing to cooperate with us to arrest the traitor. Your Majesty, it's best not to be happy too early. The Jade State believes in us because we have no reason to offend the Jade State. How can the Jade State forgive the martial uncle for doing such a thing? But the Jade State will definitely not only accept the martial uncle. When the Jade State's special envoy comes to negotiate, I'm afraid that your Majesty will be angry. As long as the man country is not forced to a dead end, I can accept it. But there are tens of thousands of Takashi Hoshi. Just thinking about it makes my heart tremble. If the man country loses so many people, it's almost the end of the country. Chapter 503. Your Majesty, I don't know if it's just an illusion, but I feel that our plan and what we want to say are all within the Jade State's expectations. They were always able to give the appropriate response. Does this mean that they already know the truth? It's hard to say, but the Jade State is thousands of years ahead of us when it comes to scheming and scheming. What we're playing now is their leftovers. Tomorrow, you and Wang Lan will go to the open wasteland space. Take the opportunity to build a relationship with Wang Lan and the others. The longer we delay, the better it will be for us. I will also seek more help from the international community. Ever since I succeeded the throne, I have experienced many storms and waves. Didn't I get through them safely every time? This time, it should not be a problem for me. Isn't there an old saying in the Jade State that goes, when the mountains and rivers are exhausted, there's always a glimmer of hope? Early the next morning, Wang Lan, Imperial Tutor Cheng Hai, and the 2 Celestial River Realm disciples of the shrine prepare to set off. The Takashi Hoshi world of the man country was almost completely separated from the world of ordinary people. The highest leader of the Takashi Hoshi world was the Imperial Tutor. Even if he was not a monk, the shrine was still a sacred place in the hearts of the Takashi Hoshi world. Logically speaking, if the situation was the same in the Jade State, the Takashi Hoshi world would have already overthrown the king's rule. However, the situation in the Man Country was very strange because the shrine followed the teachings of Buddhism. It paid particular attention to the power of the mortal world and was not moved by fame and fortune. Therefore, even if the shrine was the leader of the Takashi Hoshi world of the Man Country, they would not do anything rebellious in order to maintain their orthodoxy. If they rebelled, the shrine's teachings would change, and they would lose their orthodoxy. Because of this balance, the entire Man Country had always had two leaders. The king was the first leader, and the shrine's imperial tutor was the second leader. The Man Country's territory was about the size of a province in the Jade State. Although the Man City was in the east and the open wasteland space was in the northwest, it was not difficult for the 5 people to travel. Because the imperial preceptor was leading the way, Wang Lan and the others easily entered the wasteland space. In the wasteland space, the Takashi Hoshi of the Manchurian country was expanding outward step by step, recovering their lost land. The total area of the Vine country was less than 40,000 square kilometers, which was about the size of 3 cities in Jade State. Many of the pioneers in the country would probably laugh if they said that this was called exploring space. How could this be called an open space? It was only slightly larger than an ordinary alternate space. The size of the wasteland exploration space determined the number of mutant beasts it could contain. The 5 of them ventured deep into the wasteland exploration space. Although the mutant beasts in the wasteland exploration space were quite strong, the commander-level mutant beasts were also at the galaxy grade. They were powerful exotic beasts to the Vine Nation, but to Wang Lan and the others, were they considered exotic beasts? Wang Lan and Yi Ci, who were used to running hard mode, rarely had the chance to run a dungeon in easy mode. If they were followed by a group of wasteland reclaimers, they might be able to reclaim the wasteland reclaimer within a day. After advancing for 50 kilometers, Wang Lan and the others arrived at the first line of defense. The defensive philosophy of the Vine Nation's line of defense was different from that of the Jade State. The further back their line of defense was, the stronger their defense would be. The line of defense 50 kilometers away was originally the Vine Nation's final line of defense. It was an important line of defense with 1,000 Takashi Hoshi soldiers. There are traces of a battle, but the timing of the battle was very rushed. It seems that the mutant beasts rushed into the camp before they reacted and organized a resistance. Yun analyzed after looking around. This bunch of trash. They actually waited until the mutant beasts were right in front of them before they realized it. State Preceptor Chung Hai's face turned ugly when he heard Yun's analysis. He gritted his teeth and shouted. State Preceptor Chung Hai had thought that the Golden Cicada's sneak attack had destroyed the wasteland exploration space, which had led to the mutant beasts invading the wasteland exploration space. He hadn't expected that, aside from the first line of defense, the rest of the soldiers had only killed the guards on duty before being killed by the mutant beasts. Now that he saw traces of resistance in his line of defense, he subconsciously thought that the line of defense had neglected their duties and failed to detect the mutant beast attack in advance. By the time they had noticed it, the mutant beasts had already rushed into the camp. When faced with a dense swarm of mutant beasts, there was no way they wouldn't die. State Preceptor Chung Hai, how many lines of defense are there in the wasteland exploration space? There are a total of 3. Let's go to the next one. The group went deeper. Along the way, they would beat up the mutant beasts they encountered. If they didn't encounter any mutant beasts, they would hurry on. The fighting strength displayed by Wang Lan and Yun scared the 2 monks who followed the State Preceptor into a trance. The strength of Wang Lan and Yun was not even comparable to State Preceptor Chung Hai, the number 1 expert of the Vine Nation, and Wang Lan and Yun were only of the younger generation. If that was the case, how powerful was the Jade Nation? If the Vine Nation was used as an analogy, there should be hundreds or thousands of young experts like Wang Lan in the Jade State, right? What about the older generation? Shouldn't there be tens of thousands of them who were older than Wang Lan by 10 or 20 years? In other words, if there were tens of thousands of experts in a Jade State, they would be the number one expert in the Vine Nation. On the day of the war between the Jade State and the Vine Nation, wouldn't the Jade State be able to pinch the Vine Nation to death with just a finger? When they thought of the tense relationship between the Vine Nation and the Jade State, the two monks were in fear and trepidation. Along the way, the two of them secretly glanced at each other, and they had the same thought in their eyes. Why don't we sneak in? I don't want to be a citizen of the Vine Nation anymore. I suddenly remembered what my mother once said to me. She said that she would never regret coming to Huaxia. I seem to remember that my 10th ancestor had half Huaxia blood. Well, I think it's time to recognize my ancestors. The situation at the second line of defense was similar to the third line of defense. Although there were traces of resistance, the frontline fortress and hidden sentries were relatively intact. Seeing this scene, State Preceptor Cheng Hai also began to have doubts. Why were the two lines of defense so strange? Why were they deaf and blind when the exotic beast came? It seems that the Vine Nation was also attacked by a mysterious force. Wang Lan decided not to hide it and said lightly, "Major General Wang, do you know something? This situation is similar to the situation in the Cloud Sea space. In the Cloud Sea space, except for the first line of defense that was slaughtered by the Golden Cicada, the rest of the lines of defense were all removed from their posts. As a result, the camp garrison was not alerted in advance when the exotic beasts attacked. When the exotic beasts rushed in, they resisted in a panic. In the end, because they did not form an effective strategy, they were outnumbered and died in battle. Their corpses also became food for the exotic beasts. Damn it, I said that even if the El Nino beast tide is ferocious, it shouldn't cause such a huge loss to us, right? As far as I know, not only the Vine Nation, the Titanium Nation, and the Nest Nation suffered similar losses to us. Especially the Nest Nation, the exotic beasts rushed out of the wasteland space. In the end, they asked a retired 5-star general to take action and drive the exotic beasts back into the wasteland space. By the way, Wang Lan, in the Cloud Sea Triangle area, our country, the Jade State, the Titanium Nation, and the Nest Nation all suffered great losses, but I haven't heard of any losses in the Nanjiao Nation. Do you think this mysterious force could be the Nanjiao Nation? The Vine Nation has always been at odds with the Nanjiao Nation. Yu Ruoyin glanced at the State Preceptor indifferently. State Preceptor, you are not a gentleman at all. Princess Yu, you are exaggerating. I'm just stating the facts. Our 4 nations suffered great losses, but the Nanjiao Nation was unharmed. Isn't this suspicious? If there is no human factor, then I can only say that the Nanjiao Nation is too lucky. But if there is someone to interfere, why did they leave the Nanjiao Nation alone? Wang Lan pondered for a moment and said, "Let's go back first. If the Vine Nation is like this, we have to investigate the other 4 nations. If there are traces of the mysterious force, then it means that the mysterious force is very ambitious. They're using our 4 nations as chess pieces. Aren't they afraid that they won't be able to move the chess pieces?" It was almost dusk when they returned from the Vine Nation's wasteland space. Wang Lan heartlessly rejected Princess Cha Shi's invitation and returned to the embassy with Yu Riyun to rest. "Ambassador Liu, can we apply to investigate the Titanium Nation, the Nest Nation, and the Nanjiao Nation's wasteland space? This time, we discovered that the mysterious force's layout seems to be very big. It is not only targeting the Cloud Sea Triangle space, but also all the nations in the Golden Triangle area. This can be done, but we need to negotiate diplomatically." Liu Yin looked a little troubled. "Actually, we don't need to go through so much trouble. Isn't Yu Ruoyun a member of the International Security Committee?" Wang Lan looked at Yu Ruoyun in surprise. "Aren't you from the General Staff Department?" The International Security Committee belongs to the United Nations, but it is also different from the United Nations. It is directly led by the P5 countries. The International Security Committee is a worldwide security organization. With the International Security Committee's Special Agent Certificate, you can go to any United Nations country in the world without a visa and enjoy the highest investigation authority. Therefore, with the International Security Committee's Special Agent Certificate and the International Security Committee's investigation approval, theoretically, you can investigate any region in any country. This certificate is like a world pass. It doesn't conflict with whether I am in the General Staff Department or not. Yu Ruiyun explained with a little pride. She finally found something that could suppress Wang Lan. Wang Lan had risen too quickly these years. Originally, Takashi Hoshi's level could suppress Wang Lan, but Wang Lan was already at the Star Sea realm. In terms of military rank, Wang Lan was a major general, while Yu Ruiyun was only a colonel. Both of them were titled battle pet warriors. 2 draws and 1 loss. Yu Ruiyun completely lost to Wang Lan. Now, Wang Lan didn't have the International Security Committee's Special Agent Certificate, but Yu Ruiyun did. Hence, the loss became 1 win and 1 loss. Both of them were prodigies, so it could be considered a draw. Ambassador Liu, turn on the TV. An embassy staff suddenly said, "What's wrong?" The King of Man AI is holding a press conference. We are very grateful to the Jade State for their selfless help. This afternoon, the Jade State sent reinforcements and State Preceptor Shanghai to lead the defending troops in the reclaimed space to launch a counterattack. We only spent 3 hours to reclaim a large amount of land that was invaded by exotic beasts. We successfully reclaimed the 3rd line of defense and recovered an alternate space of 50 kilometers. Here, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the Jade State and congratulate the friendship between our 2 countries. What does Man AI mean by this? Wang Lan asked, puzzled. Announced the Jade State's help to the Man country in a high-profile manner, putting the Jade State on a moral high ground. When the time comes, the Jade State will not make excessive demands to them for the sake of their reputation. This trick naturally couldn't escape Liu Yun's eyes. Aren't they afraid of being slapped in the face? Those who have nothing to lose are not afraid of wearing shoes. They have long been shameless. However, from this attitude, we can see that the Man country is indeed terrified. At the bottom of the news page of Man AI's press conference, a rolling news feed flowed past. At 1:30 this afternoon, Master Chengming of Man City was brutally murdered in his home by thugs. The thugs even cruelly took away Master Chengming's heart, suspected to be some kind of evil sacrifice. Chapter 504. Ding ling ling. The embassy's phone suddenly rang. Hello, I'm Liu Yun. Okay, Major General Wang, State Preceptor Shanghai is calling. Wang Lan took the phone, but before he could speak, a hurried voice came from the other side of the phone. He's here, he's made his move. Who? My great martial uncle. State Preceptor Shanghai hurriedly said, My great martial uncle is here. I just received news that my junior brother Chengming was killed and his heart was dug out. The 6-winged golden cicada was nurtured in our hearts, so it must be my great martial uncle's doing. Okay, I'll be right there. Wang Lan hung up the phone after he finished speaking. Yun, the Heart Sutra World Supreme, might have made his move. Since he dared to reveal his whereabouts, we'll keep him here. Okay. The 2 drove to the temple. Before they got out of the car, State Preceptor Shanghai hurriedly came up to them. Special Envoy Wang Lan, Your Highness Princess Yu, I didn't expect you to come so quickly. The target location is Iman City, which is only 80 kilometers away from here. Let's drive there now. Drive? I don't think driving is as fast as flying. Wang Lan had experienced the traffic in the country of Man. He estimated that they wouldn't be able to get out of the city in half an hour. I don't know how to fly yet. State Preceptor Shanghai replied awkwardly. It's okay. I'll take you flying. You just need to point out the direction. As soon as he finished speaking, his star power flashed, and Wang Lan and Shanghai's bodies slowly flew up. When the people of the country of Man saw this scene, they immediately knelt on the ground to worship. For ordinary people, being able to fly meant having God power. As for logical thinking like Takashi Hoshi being able to fly, was it important? Faith, wasn't it about believing in something and not believing in something? The privileged naturally had special rights. flying in the country of man was naturally not a problem. In less than half an hour, Wang Lan and Cheng Hai landed in Iman City. The police of the country of man had already taken control of the scene. Under the guidance of the state preceptor, they successfully entered the scene. This was a shrine of the country of man. In the country of man, the bigger ones were called temples and the smaller ones were called shrines. The shrine did not provide services for tourists, nor did it recruit monks. It was basically a self-employed monk. Their main income was to pray for blessings for others, perform rituals, and sell consecrated Buddhist items. A middle-aged monk was lying on the bed. His chest was open, revealing a hideous wound on his chest. It was a ghastly sight. Wang Lan observed the deceased, while Yu Riyun and Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai searched the room. Judging from his expression, Cheng Ming Fa sure was conscious before he died. His expression was ferocious and terrifying. But from Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai's words, Chan Master Cheng Ming was at least a Star Sea Realm cultivator. To be able to be accepted as a disciple by the previous generation state preceptor, his talent was absolutely at the top of the Vine Kingdom. In order to protect the Golden Cicada, he abandoned all honor and was willing to be an ordinary monk, but he was still found and killed. There were no obvious signs of fighting in the room. It could be seen that Chan Master Cheng Ming was subdued in an instant and then killed while he was conscious. The murderer is Great Marshal Uncle Xinfa. I can't be wrong. I didn't expect that we hit it so well, but he still found us. Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai said in a low voice with a gloomy expression. To be able to be found means that you didn't hide it well. Wang Lan shifted his gaze and said, since Master Cheng Ming was found, then how Xinfa World Honored One found Master Cheng Ming is a clue. You said that the 3 junior brothers each took a golden cicada and concealed their identities. Besides you and His Majesty the King, no one else knows their whereabouts? Is there really no one? Indeed, there is no one. This is a secret between His Majesty and I. Even the 3 junior brothers wouldn't know about it among themselves. They are not allowed to reveal their identities as Takashi Hoshi, and they're even more not allowed to reveal the golden cicada. Secrets are meant to be leaked. This is not my motherland, and I can't speculate which channel leaked it, but I hope that the Vine Kingdom can seriously filter the channels that could leak it. I will. There is a letter here. Yu Ruiyun's voice suddenly sounded. Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai hurriedly took the letter. When he saw the contents of the letter, his expression suddenly changed. Junior brother, you actually, seeing Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai's expression become so ugly, Wang Lan looked at Yu Ruiyun curiously. Wang Lan knew that Yu Ruiyun understood the language of the Vine Kingdom. Master Cheng Ming wrote a letter to his junior brother, Master Cheng Kong, half a year ago. I don't know the contents of the letter. This is Master Cheng Kong's reply. The general idea is that he rejected Master Cheng Ming's proposal. Moreover, Master Cheng Kong is seriously ill and doesn't have much time left. After his death, he will pass the golden cicada to Master Cheng Kong's son. In other words, it's not that the 3 masters with the golden cicada don't know each other's whereabouts, but that they are in contact. By the way, can the monks of the Vine Kingdom marry and have children? The monks of the Vine Kingdom are the same as the monks of the host country. Moreover, Buddha only wants their beliefs, not their lives. As long as we sincerely believe in Buddha, we can get married. Of course, most monks don't choose to get married because they believe that after getting married and having a wife and child, their belief in Buddha will not be so pure. Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai, immediately go to Zen Master Cheng Kong's residence. I hope we can make it in time. All right. Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai didn't dare to hesitate. He hurriedly brought Wang Lan to another city 300 miles away. When they found Master Cheng Kong's shrine, it was already in ruins. Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai hurriedly called the local village official. After asking, he found out that Master Cheng Kong had died half a year ago. After Zen Master Cheng Kong passed away, his wife sold the shrine to a local rich merchant and then took the child to her parents' home. He hurriedly searched for the location of Master Cheng Kong's wife's home through information. He hurriedly rushed to find Master Chung Kong's wife and found out from her that Master Chung Kong's child was cultivating in a temple 50 kilometers away. Master Chung Kong's child was a genius. When he was 8 years old, he awakened the Takashi Hoshi innate talent. He was already a famous genius in the nearby cities. However, Master Chung Kong's wife didn't know anything about her husband's identity. She didn't even know that Master Chung Kong was a Takashi Hoshi. The group rushed to the temple. Imperial Preceptor Chung Hai was the master of the temple and also the sect master of all temples. The temple that was sacred to ordinary people was naturally unobstructed by Wang Lan and the other two. However, when the temple's abbot heard Imperial Preceptor Chung Hai's words, his expression changed instantly. Seeing the abbot's expression, Wang Lan had a guess in his heart. Under Imperial Preceptor Chung Hai's interrogation, the abbot knew that he couldn't hide it anymore, so he told the truth. 3 days ago, Master Chung Kong's child met with an accident. However, in order to cover up their negligence, the temple hid this matter. They only needed to wait for 2 days and send the child to the list of people to reclaim the space. Then, they would report the death of the child and cover it up seamlessly. Imperial Preceptor Chung Hai, there's no need to be so sad. Isn't this something we expected? Back then, they respected Master so much. I thought they would never dare to go against Master's words. But I didn't expect. Master Chung Ming secretly wrote a letter to Master Chung Kong. This was against the will of the previous Imperial Preceptor. Even if they knew each other's whereabouts, they might have initiated some kind of secret communication. Even if Master Chung Kong knew that he didn't have much time left, he didn't tell Imperial Preceptor Chung Hai. The temple knew nothing about this. Moreover, Chung Kong secretly passed the golden cicada to his son. This was enough to show that Chung Kong wanted to take the golden cicada and make it their family's heirloom. Now is not the time to be sentimental. It's best to immediately find the last master. Hopefully, we can make it in time. If the last master is also killed, the Heart Sutra world is already gathered for golden cicadas. With 4 golden cicadas, the 3 of us may not be a match for him, even if we work together. Chung Hai didn't dare to hesitate. He quickly brought Wang Lan across 200 kilometers to a secluded, dense forest. The scenery here was beautiful. It was a treasured place for cultivation and health. On the lakeside of the dense forest, there was a wooden house. The wooden house was tightly shut, as if no one lived there. Chung Hai came to the front of the wooden house. Junior brother Chung Xiao, are you home? When they came to the door of the wooden house, they found that the lock on the wooden house had rusted. Chung Hai smashed the wooden door with one palm. A strong stench of a corpse assaulted them. Through the mottled light, they could vaguely see a corpse lying on the ground. From the state of death, it could be seen that he was still wriggling and crawling on the ground before he died. After the stench dissipated, Wang Lan and Chung Hai entered. Yu Ruiyun couldn't stand the scene and didn't enter in the end. He's been dead for more than 2 months. Master Chung Xiao was the first to be killed. This means that when the Heart Sutra world attacked in the Cloud Sea space, he already had 3 golden cicadas. Now, I'm the only one left. Imperial Preceptor Chung Hai slowly closed his eyes. An uncontrollable pain appeared on his face. I'm the only one left. Master Sutra world already has 5 golden cicadas. Even if you eliminate the King Kong golden cicada that you killed, there are still 4. For golden cicadas, only 4 titled warriors can defeat them. 1 golden cicada has the strength of a titled warrior, more or less. Envoy Wang Lan, Princess Yu, let's go out. Imperial Preceptor Chung Hai led the 2 to the lakeside. Now that I'm the only one left, Master Sutra world will definitely come for the last 2 golden cicadas. Since he already has 4 golden cicadas, no one can stop him. I have to prepare for the worst. Imperial Preceptor Chung Hai, what do you plan to do? I'll tell you the abilities of the 7 golden cicadas. Understanding the abilities of the 7 golden cicadas will increase your chances of winning. Among the golden cicadas that were stolen, junior brother Chung Ming's golden cicada is called the Strength Golden Cicada. The strength golden cicada can transform into a giant golden cicada that is dozens of meters tall. It has infinite strength and can move mountains and fill seas. Junior brother Chung Kong's golden cicada is called the thunderclap golden cicada. It can release lightning attacks. This is the golden cicada's innate ability, so it's not restricted by its master's astral power. The thunderclap golden cicada's all-out attack is no weaker than the all-out attack of a super S-class thunder-type Takashi Hoshi. Junior brother Chung Xiao's golden cicada is a 7 apertures golden cicada. It can transform into any weapon, and its power is no less than that of a top star Palace Divine artifact. As for Master Sutra World's first 2 golden cicadas, one is the most powerful King Kong golden cicada, and the other is the devouring golden cicada. The devouring golden cicada can devour everything within a radius of 50 meters in an instant. Because of this golden cicada, we can't even get within 50 meters of it. Once swallowed by the golden cicada, we'll definitely die. This golden cicada is interesting. It can turn into a weapon. That's not the most amazing thing about the 7 apertures golden cicada. I heard from Master that our ancestor could control 7 golden cicadas at the same time and form a formation. It can instantly annihilate everything in a space. Chapter 505. From now on, State Preceptor, you'd better stay with us. Wang Lan didn't expect mental cultivation method to be so fast. In other words, the reaction of Man Country was too slow. Except for Master Chung Xiao, who had been killed long ago, Chung Ming and Chung Kong's sons were killed recently. Master Chung Kong's sons were killed, but the temple didn't report it immediately. They even wanted to hide their mistakes and muddle through. If the temple had reported it in time 3 days ago, Master Chung Ming wouldn't have died. He might have successfully waited for the rabbit to appear. That's the only way. State Preceptor Chung Hai sighed. The 3 returned to Man City. Wang Lan and Yu Riyun moved out of the embassy and stayed in the temple to prevent mental cultivation method from attacking. With Wang Lan and Yu Riyun's strength, they weren't afraid that the temple could do anything to them. Moreover, State Preceptor Chung Hai still needed to rely on Wang Lan and Yu Riyun to defeat strong enemies. Perhaps because Chung Hai didn't go out, mental cultivation method couldn't find a chance to attack. Or maybe because he knew that Wang Lan and Yu Riyun were in the temple, the entire Man Country was calm for the past 3 days. Man AI had ordered the whole country to enter a state of emergency. All departments were on duty in shifts to pay close attention to every move of Man Country. After all, Man Country was a small country. Whether it was strength or management, it was full of loopholes. Not to mention, there were cameras everywhere in Jade State. Everywhere was covered by the Skynet. It was no wonder that many criminals in Jade State fled to places like Man Country and Titanium State. Once they fled here, as long as they had a little brain, they could successfully conceal their identity. Jade State's negotiation team has arrived in Man City. After dinner, Yuryun suddenly said while taking a walk in the temple's back garden, "So fast. If it's late and we catch mental cultivation method, won't his identity as Bird of Paradise be exposed? At that time, it will be difficult to get any benefits. Even if the negotiation is successful and mental cultivation method's identity is established, won't Man Country go back on their words? Do you think Jade State is White Eagle State, eating people without spitting out the bones? Jade State's purpose is to completely solve the dispute between them and Man Country. Once the disputed issue was completely defined, it would be useless even if the Vine Country went back on their word. By then, it would have already been filed with the United Nations. Therefore, to me, I really hope that the revered one of the Mantra world can keep us cool and give us more time. I don't understand politics, and I'm not interested. You don't have to understand now, but sooner or later, you will. Don't forget that you are the number one of the younger generation. You are the banner of the younger generation. Don't I have you? Me? I'm just a woman." Yurian put her hands in her pockets and lazily paced back and forth. It's easy to change the laws, But how can a person's mindset be changed so easily? If men and women are really equal, why did Chu Ligu become like that? Are you close to Ligu? Last time, I noticed that you two seem to know each other. I knew her when I was young. When I first met Chu Ligu, she was still a gentle little sister. Gradually, I couldn't see the feminine side of her. In the ancient Takashi Hoshi family, the concept of men being superior to women is deeply ingrained in their bones. Don't talk about me. Recently, that Princess Cha, she came to see you almost every day. Do you really have no feelings for her, or is it because I'm by your side? Do I look like I'm enduring it? Wang Lan's mouth twitched as he smiled. She's not beautiful. Even I'm a little moved. I don't believe that you don't feel anything. She's very beautiful, but there are many beautiful women in the world. Do I have to like every beautiful woman I see? You're exaggerating if you like her, but at least I know that a man doesn't need to like a girl when he wants to be with her. Possession and conquest are the biggest motivators. Isn't that right? Benefactor, you're thinking too much. The men you're talking about do represent the majority of men, even 90% of men. But that doesn't include me. If someone else heard you say that, I would believe it, but it's you who said it. Why are you pretending in front of me? Do you think I don't know about CSCC? How can you accuse me without any basis? We're both in love and truly in love. Cough, cough, cough. Yurian leaned against a rubber tree and coughed lightly. Can you not disgust me? Please don't insult the word love, scumbag. How am I a scumbag? I want to cut all ties with CSCC. That's the real scumbag, okay? At least she's happy now. Then what about this Princess Chashi? If you want to accept her, she must be very happy. Will you accept her? When you say that, I almost thought that you received money. What do you mean by that? Why do I feel that it's full of jealousy? I can't help it. Who asked me to be Sinyu's good sister? As a good sister, I know that her boyfriend is two-timing her, but I can't tell her. That scumbag is still overseas seducing a princess. Say, I can't keep my mouth shut anymore. You can say it the other way around? She's clearly the one who provoked me. Sigh. Maybe someone is too embarrassed to respond when I'm around. Do you want me to shut myself off tomorrow to create some opportunities for you? Cha Lemon. Wang Lan rolls his eyes and leisurely turned around. Princess Cha, she obviously came here with a purpose. Do you think I'm stupid? Even if you want a princess, isn't Princess L good enough? Sure enough, you've exposed your true nature. Say it. Do you and Princess L also have... Stop gossiping, okay? I haven't contacted her since returning from the country of ice. Also, don't test Sinew. If you let it slip, I'll really get angry. I know, I'm just joking. Forget it. I won't tease you anymore. I'll be on duty tonight. You can have a good sleep. The two just finished gossiping and changed the topic to Takashi Hoshi's cultivation level. Suddenly, State Preceptor Chunghai hurriedly runs over. Special Envoy Wang Lan, Princess Yu, Uncle Shinfa has made his move again. Made his move? Where? Wang Lan hurriedly senses, but didn't sense the aura of a strong enemy. You two follow me. Wang Lan and Yurian followed State Preceptor Chunghai to the meditation room of the temple. The television in the meditation room is playing a video. At 4 o'clock this afternoon, a village on the outskirts of Maida City was brutally massacred. More than 1,000 people in the village were killed. Even the old, the weak, the women, and the children were not spared. The murderer even left bloody words on the wall. Chunghai, quickly come and die. Shinfa was done by the world-honored one. His intention is very obvious. He wants to use this method to force me to show myself. As a Takashi Hoshi powerhouse, he actually made his move against a weak, ordinary person. No wonder the Grandmaster chose Master back then. It turns out that the Grandmaster saw the demonic nature in his body. Since he wants you to go, then let's go. As long as he dares to come, I'll make sure he doesn't return. That night, Wang Lan and the other two left the temple and arrived at Maida City, located in the northwest of the country of ice. The three didn't hide their tracks and entered the city openly. Wang Lan began to ask if anyone had seen any suspicious people before and after the incident, or if there were any cameras that captured any suspicious targets. If this was in the Jade State, at least Wang Lan would have to provide a general range of information. But in the country of ice, sorry, there was nothing. The village was remote and relatively isolated. There were only a few foreigners seen throughout the year. There were no cameras or anything. The whole village was massacred. There were no survivors, no witnesses, and even no one knew where the murderer came from. Finding nothing, Wang Lan and the other two returned to the hotel. After entering the room, Wang Lan closed the door and stood quietly outside the window, looking into the distance. The night in the country of ice was pitch black. Even though Maida City was the third-ranked city in the country of ice, there were not many bright lights at night. What do we do now? Can we only wait for the world-honored one to come? Yu Ryun broke the silence and asked. No, I think the world-honored one will continue to massacre the village. Wang Lan's words made State Preceptor Cheng Hai raise his head abruptly. How can that be? Didn't he want me to come? Now that I'm here, shouldn't he come straight to our door? If you came alone, State Preceptor, he would come straight to our door. But with me and Ryun here, he wouldn't dare. I don't even need to think with my knees to know that he will continue to massacre the village until we can't hold it in anymore and split up. Or he will force you to go alone. I looked around just now. The villages in the country of ice are almost defenseless against the Takashi Hoshi. If he wants to massacre the village, any village can do it before we notice. Then what should we do? State Preceptor Cheng Hai's face instantly turned pale. If the World Honor One really did that, how many people in the country of ice would be massacred? With the ability of the six-winged golden cicada, it would be easy to massacre dozens of villages in a few days. They could even slaughter an entire city with ease. Wang Lan took out a piece of green wood from the void storage. Seeing the wood, Yu Ryun's eyes narrowed slightly. Empty wood? Eldest uncle gave you the empty wood? Wang Lan handed the empty wood to State Preceptor Cheng Hai. Keep this empty wood close to you. The space coordinates I set are on it. If you meet State Preceptor Cheng Hai, I can instantly teleport to your side. However, it can only be in the outside world and not in the alternate space. If you're in the alternate space, I can't do anything. Moreover, I can only teleport once now, so there's only one chance. State Preceptor Cheng Hai took the empty wood and put it away. His eyes flickered slightly. You mean, I'll be the bait and wait for the hare to come? That's right. Also, all three of us have a positioning device installed. If we're not in the alternate space, we can use the positioning device to determine each other's direction. I think the next step is for him to find a way to split us up. This night was indeed calm. The next day, just as the sun rose from the horizon, State Preceptor Cheng Hai knocked on the door of Wang Lan and Yu Ryun's room. Last night, 3 more villages were massacred. They were in 3 different directions. It seems like my guess is correct. The next step is for us to split up and act separately. You'll be in the light, while Yu Ryun and I will be in the dark. We have to give State Preceptor Cheng Hai a chance to split us up and also not let him suspect that this is a trap set by us. State Preceptor Cheng Hai followed the plan and drove to one of the destroyed villages. Wang Lan and Yu Ryun followed him secretly. Although they didn't feel that anyone was secretly watching them, Wang Lan believed that someone was definitely watching them closely. Wang Lan and Yu Ryun were 500 meters away from State Preceptor Cheng Hai. At this distance, Wang Lan and Yu Ryun would only need 2 seconds to arrive. Therefore, this distance was very safe. The village that State Preceptor Cheng Hai went to was also very remote. There were no other villages within a kilometer of it, and the village road was covered in mud. Wang Lan and Yu Ryun stopped 500 meters away from the village and observed State Preceptor Cheng Hai's every move. No one noticed a golden flying insect darting out from the bushes and attacking Yu Ryun. Chapter 506. Whoosh! The moment the golden bug appeared, a thunderball suddenly smashed toward the two of them. Yu Ryun turned her palm back, and a water-curtained shadow shot out from Yu Ryun's palm. The thunderball instantly disappeared as if it had melted. After the bug's attack failed, it immediately turned around and ran. Although the bug's body was extremely small, its speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, It had already flown 100 meters away. Chase! The moment Yuriyun's voice fell, her figure had already turned into a stream of light and chased after it. Wang Lan followed Yuriyun and rushed out hurriedly, but his eyes were curiously staring at Yuriyun's back. Just now, Wang Lan had planned to use divine light, but he did not expect Yuriyun's reaction to be faster than his. It seemed that in the past few months, Yuriyun's growth in strength was not slower than his. However, Wang Lan had successfully broken through to the Star Sea realm during this period and had also mastered several Diamond Takashihoshi techniques. His growth in strength could be said to be a rebirth. How could Yuriyun keep up with this kind of growth and strength? Either Yuriyun had another fortuitous encounter, such as obtaining the dragon and phoenix bringing prosperity like last time, or Yuriyun's mastery of perfection like water had improved by leaps and bounds. However, the two of them were chasing after the six-winged golden cicada and had no time to care about other things. Although he knew that the six-winged golden cicada was sent by the revered one to lure the two of them away, since it was here, Wang Lan did not plan to let it return safely. The golden cicada's flying speed was extremely fast, but it was still much slower than the King Kong golden cicada they had encountered in the cloud sea space. After chasing for 30 kilometers, they were finally within 10 meters. Dance of the Hell Butterfly. In an instant, Wang Lan's body exploded and turned into a butterfly dancing in the air. During this time, the golden cicada took the opportunity to advance to a place 100 meters away from Wang Lan. Titled Tornado, Yuriyun hurriedly made her move. Her mental power triggered the heaven and earth tide. In an instant, the heaven and earth star power within a radius of 300 meters became chaotic like an undercurrent. The disorderly star power airflow weaved a picture scroll in the void that was visible to the naked eye. Although the golden cicada's speed was fast, it was still too small, after all. It crashed into the tide and was instantly swept by it. Slash! Golden cicada's body suddenly exploded with a thunderbolt. Although this insect was small, the spiritual power it emitted was very terrifying. The thunderbolt it emitted instantly swallowed the entire star power tide. The endless thunderbolt was like countless scissors, cutting the surrounding spiritual power turbulence. You wanna run? Skynet. Wang Lan appeared. He raised his hand and stretched out his palm in front of him. That posture was like a traffic policeman who stopped a car for a violation of the rules. Stop. Stop your ghost. Go die for me. The godly thunder of the purple heavens around the golden cicada's body became even more condensed and surged. In the midst of the godly thunder of the purple heavens, Wang Lan could almost feel a faintly discernible spatial power. The intense energy condensed and actually drew a scar in the space. Wang Lan, this is the godly thunder of the 9 heavens. Yuriyun immediately shouted nervously. Wang Lan's palm rippled slightly, and the void storage bag opened for the golden cicada. Almost at the moment Yuriyun opened her mouth, the thunder golden cicada crashed into the void storage space and disappeared. Successfully killed. Reward: 10,000 experience points, 800 skill points. The notification in his mind sounded. Somewhere far away, the Venerable of the World suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood again. Venerable of the World, what happened to you? Several mysterious figures stopped in their tracks. They were originally walking well, but who knew that the Venerable of the World, who was walking in the middle, would spit out a mouthful of blood like a lunatic. Those who didn't know would think that he had just King sneezed. The Venerable of the World's expression at this moment was indeed stupefied. The second golden cicada. How could this be? I already activated the godly thunder of the purple heavens. How could there be anyone who could stop the thunder golden cicada from retreating? There was no reason, no way. There was nothing in the world that could stop the godly thunder of the purple heavens. How could it have been killed? The Venerable of the World simply couldn't understand. Not to mention how the thunder golden cicada had died. He couldn't even understand how the King Kong golden cicada had died. Damn it, there were only 7 golden cicadas in total. 100 years ago, After the founder slaughtered 10,000 demons warriors, the 7 golden cicadas were still intact. The golden cicadas that had been passed down for 100 years had never suffered a loss. Who would have thought that in just a few short days, 2 golden cicadas would be gone? These 6-winged golden cicadas were an ancient species. There were only 7 of them in the world. 1 dead meant 1 less. Suddenly, the venerable of the world's heart ached so much that he couldn't breathe. If there weren't outsiders here, he would have cried bitterly on the spot. "Shanghai, you bastard. What kind of fiend did you invite? Not only do I want to dig out your heart to take out the golden cicada, but I also want you to watch me dig out your heart while you're still alive. Only then can I relieve the hatred in my heart." Yurian stared curiously at Wang Lan. Just now, Wang Lan's move was too strange. Purple heaven, heavenly thunder. Even White Emperor, one of the 5 emperors, didn't dare to take it head-on. Wang Lan actually made the golden cicada disappear with a light raise of his hand. What other abilities does Wang Lan have that I don't know? What is the upper limit of his battle power? Don't look at me like that. I just used a trick. Wang Lan had nothing to hide from Yuruya. Moreover, the battle later required the cooperation of the 2 of them. I've cultivated the space attribute Takashi Hoshi's void storage technique. I know that. Why? Did you just use the void storage technique? Yes, the void storage will open up a portable space. The size of this space is not that big. It's about 3 cubic meters. There's no time, no space, and no matter in the portable space. Generally, things will come to a standstill after entering. However, once a living creature enters, it will die immediately. The entrance of the void storage is too small. Moreover, there are obvious spatial fluctuations. Generally speaking, it's not very useful in battle. However, this golden cicada is interesting. It's small and stupid. I opened the space door and waited for it to die. Therefore, it died immediately after crashing into the space. After saying that, Wang Lan opened the space and took out the golden cicada. The golden cicada's 4 limbs were curled up, and its body was stiff. It looked like an exquisite golden product. Don't worry about that. Quickly locate Imperial Preceptor Shanghai. It'll be too late if we delay. The 2 hurried to the village. The village had obviously suffered an attack, and several monks from the temple had died. Imperial Preceptor Shanghai followed Wang Lan's plan and led 3-star Sea Realm monks to chase after the attack. Through the positioning system, Imperial Preceptor Shanghai was still moving rapidly at about 100 kilometers per hour. This place originally belonged to the border of the Man Nation. If they went further northwest, they would reach the border of the Nanzhao Nation and the Jade State. Wang Lan and Shanghai soared into the sky and chased after him. Through the positioning system, Imperial Preceptor Shanghai had already left the border of the Man Nation and arrived at the Nanzhao Nation. However, suddenly, Imperial Preceptor Shanghai's tracking signal disappeared. Wang Lan's expression changed drastically. He sped up again. After flying for about 100 kilometers, they finally arrived at the place where the signal disappeared. The last 3 monks who followed Imperial Preceptor Shanghai died at the border of the Nanzhao Nation. Wang Lan landed to investigate. The 3 monks were all beheaded by a blade. The blade was so sharp that the 3 monks didn't have much time to react. Not even 2 seconds had passed from the time the murderer attacked to the time the monks were killed. Did something happen to Imperial Preceptor Shanghai? Probably not. Wang Lan scanned the scene. Imperial Preceptor Shanghai's strength was at the peak of the Star Sea Realm. With the 2 golden cicadas, his combat power was definitely at the level of a titled expert. Even if the opponent has a cultivation technique, Imperial Preceptor Shanghai shouldn't have been unable to last for more than 2 seconds. Suddenly, Wang Lan saw a small mark on the ground. It seemed to be a mark left by Imperial Preceptor Shanghai. It was an arrow pointing to the west. Wang Lan hurriedly closed his eyes and sensed the coordinates left in the empty space wood. The distance wasn't very far, only 80 kilometers. There was no need to teleport. Let's go. Flying through the air, it took them 10 minutes to cross the 80-kilometer area. They landed from the sky and hurriedly looked around. What are you looking for? Empty space wood. Why would the empty space would be here? Wang Lan dug out the empty space what he had given to Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai last night. Chapter 507. So, State Preceptor Cheng Hai has a problem, Yu Ruoyun said with a gloomy face. He buried the clear space would here to prevent you from tracking him. Is he going to run away with the revered one? Wang Lan frowned, but he still shook his head. No, State Preceptor Cheng Hai doesn't have to do this. He's now the State Preceptor of Man Country. He'd rather be the head of a chicken than the tail of Phoenix. He has no reason to do this. Besides, he and the revered one are natural opposites. There's no possibility of reconciliation. Isn't colluding with the revered one like asking a tiger for its skin? That's true. The revered one definitely wants State Preceptor Cheng Hai's 2 golden cicadas. However, the clear space wood can't be casually dropped, and it's buried underground. Wang Lan thought for a while. Is there an alternate space nearby? The Nanjiao country's reclaimed space is nearby. Why? That's right. Wang Lan's eyes flashed. I told State Preceptor Cheng Hai that the clear space would can only guarantee that I can arrive at the fastest speed in the same space-time. However, I don't know if I'm in the alternate space. State Preceptor Cheng Hai is about to go to the alternate space. He's worried that we won't know where he is, so he left the clear space wood behind. The clear space wood is telling us that he's going to the alternate space. Let's go. The two didn't dare to hesitate and rushed to the reclaimed space 10 kilometers away. Nanjiao country was the country with the least presence in the Golden Triangle. The Golden Triangle was bordered by 5 countries, and Nanjiao country was the weakest. Because they had to survive in the cracks, Nanjiao country had developed a character where they didn't have their own opinions. Nanjiao country's way of doing things also affected their people, causing them to be called the most undignified Nanjiao people in the world. Nanjiao people could be unyielding in their own country, but once they were in front of outsiders, they would kneel down and never stand up. Sometimes, Wang Lan couldn't believe it when he heard some rumors about Nanjiao country. How could a country swallow their anger to such an extent? If it wasn't for the Jade State taking care of this little brother, Nanjiao country would have been eaten clean by the other 3 countries. In South Asia's Golden Triangle, Jade State was the only country that had a good relationship with Nanjiao country. Of course, the prerequisite was that the Nanjiao nation was more obedient. At the entrance of the Nanjiao nation's reclamation space, there was an endless stream of reclaimers coming in and out, each of them carrying parcels to the trucks. Seeing this scene, Wang Lan suddenly felt doubtful. Was this really an unexplored space of the Nanjiao nation? No matter how he looked at it, it looked like a cargo port. Don't worry about that. Let's sneak in and find Imperial Tutor Cheng Hai first. With Wang Lan and Yu Riyun's strength, sneaking into the defenseless Nanjiao kingdom to open up space was just a piece of cake. They could transform into wind and mist. In any case, the Nanjiao nation's garrison did not exist. After entering, it was indeed a barren land. Other than the transportation path, Wang Lan couldn't see a single campsite. It was like a desolate ancient road in the Gobi Desert, and a group of distant merchants were traveling on the road. Logically speaking, a large camp should be set up at the entrance of the new space, with fortifications that were easy to defend and hard to attack. Even if there were many lines of defense on the front lines, this place was the last line of defense against the exotic beasts, so they had to treat it seriously. But in the Nanjiao nation, there was no such thing. After entering, Wang Lan could actually head to any direction in the alternate space at will. He didn't need to hide his tracks. How can an unexplored space of the Nanjiao nation be called an unexplored space? That's like a joke, Yu Riyun said, also feeling that it was unreasonable. Everyone has their own fate. Forget it. Let's find Imperial Tutor Cheng Hai. Boom! At that moment, a trembling wave of astral power was transmitted from afar. Wang Lan and Yu Riyun's figures flashed, instantly disappearing from their original spot. In the depths of the unexplored space of the Nanjiao nation, At the edge of a huge pit, 6 strange-looking Takashi Hoshi slowly appeared. They stood at the edge of the pit and looked at the scorched pit. They exchanged glances, their expressions turning serious. He missed. He ran away. This Manji Nation's imperial tutor is quite something. He can even dodge like that. He didn't dodge at all. A voice suddenly rang out. A monk wearing a red kasaya slowly walked over from the periphery of the pit. His hair and beard were pure white. If not for his pair of hazy eyes, he would have looked like an otherworldly expert with his eyes closed. Honored won the world. You said he didn't dodge? Then why didn't he? Because one of the 2 golden cicadas he carries is an invisible golden cicada. It can make itself and its host invisible. The invisible state makes him immune to all physical and elemental attacks. It lasts for 5 minutes. The cooldown time is 1 hour. Oh, no wonder. Can the revered one of the world find him? A man wrapped in black tights asked in a low voice. There's no need to find him. Honored one of the world looked coldly at the pit, the corners of his mouth rising slightly. Because he can't move in the invisible state, he'll appear in the same place after 5 minutes. This ability is a good ability for those who don't understand it, but for those who do, it's of little value. 5 minutes are almost up. Shanghai, why haven't you shown yourself yet? Along with Honored one of the world's words, the space in the pit slightly distorted. A figure gradually emerged like a phantom in the water. State Preceptor Chung Hai stared at the old man on the ground with a complicated expression. 30 years ago, Honored one of the world was a powerhouse respected by everyone in the temple. Even now, many people who followed Honored one of the world still had fantasies about Honored one of the world. State Preceptor Chung Hai still didn't understand why Honored one of the world would betray him. Little Chung Hai, don't look at me like that. You'll only make me feel that you're a waste. Don't you understand why? Why would I betray you? Ha! As the state preceptor of the country of man, the question you should ask isn't why, but victory and defeat and benefits. There's no why in this world, only eternal benefits. It was you who killed Chung Xiao, Chung Kong, and Chung Ming? That's right. Honored one of the world didn't quibble and calmly admitted it. Actually, with my strength, it's enough to have the King Kong golden cicada. I don't need the other 6 golden cicadas. When I learned of Chung Xiao's whereabouts, I killed him and took the golden cicada without saying anything. I didn't need it that much, and it wasn't to take revenge on Master for betraying me. I just felt that I should take back what I lost with my own hands. That's all. Since that's the case, then you deserve to die. As soon as he finished speaking, a buzzing sound rang out. A golden cloud slowly rose above State Preceptor Chung Hai's head. His entire body also slowly turned golden, and his star power surged. Your invisible golden cicada is already useless. Now, you only have this Force golden cicada left. Although the Force golden cicada can provide you with an endless supply of star power, my stupid junior brother probably didn't tell you that the amount of star power has little to do with strength. Even if you have more star power, if the Takashi Hoshi you use only has a weak power, you're nothing more than a rabbit that doesn't know fatigue. Buddha, golden body. State Preceptor Chung Hai suddenly roared. His body instantly swelled and turned into a 20-meter-tall Buddha statue. The Buddha statue had 3 heads and 6 arms, and its face was different. Glaring Vajra, light wheels appeared between the Buddha statue's hands. In an instant, balls of golden energy appeared in the light wheels. The moment the energy balls were formed, they blasted towards the crowd below. It was as if a bomber had just flown over and dropped bombs. Boom, boom, boom. The ground was instantly filled with dust. Smoke and dust filled the sky and covered half of the golden Buddha statue's body. Suddenly, the smoke and dust rolled. A huge golden cicada rushed out of the smoke and pounced on the Buddha statue. The Buddha statue instantly turned around and punched the huge golden cicada with both fists. Clang! There was a loud noise, as if a wooden ram had hit the huge twilight bell. The golden cicada was unmoved. It still lay on the Buddha statue. The Buddha statue lost its balance and fell to the ground. Boom! The golden cicada held the Buddha statue tightly. The Buddha statue didn't want to just sit there and wait for its death. The star power around it surged. One energy ball after another bombarded the golden cicada's face. Boom! 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 The golden cicada's terrifying mouth was deformed by the bombardment of the huge energy bombs, but still held on to the Buddha statue's body and pressed it to the ground. The mighty strength golden cicada was too strong. The mighty strength golden cicada could easily lift a mountain. Wouldn't it be easy for it to press down a 20-meter-tall Buddha statue? I said, it's useless no matter how much star power you have. Go to hell. Xinfa world-honored warrior's arm suddenly turned into a huge golden sword and slashed at Imperial Preceptor Chunghai's head. Psst, there was a sound of something breaking through the air. Xinfa world-honored warrior's expression changed instantly. He slashed his sword to the side. Flames appeared in the sky. There was a loud noise. Xinfa world-honored warrior's body was instantly pushed back. In the sky, a star suddenly lit up, and the star instantly grew bigger, turning into a meteor that rushed over rapidly. In a meteor, Wang Lan's Zampakudo was burning with flames. Psst! Wang Lan landed on the back of the mighty strength golden cicada and stabbed down. Looking at Wang Lan's appearance, Xinfa world-honored warrior's expression instantly became ugly. They had tried their best to lure Shanghai to the remote Nanzhao country to open up space, but they didn't expect Wang Lan to be able to find them in such a short time. But it doesn't matter. Let them find me. With 3 golden cicadas, my strength is no less than sonic artisoni. Even if you come, what can you do? Humph. The golden cicada's carapace is extremely hard. Even armor-piercing bullets can't leave a trace on the golden cicada's body. You want to hurt the golden cicada with a single stab? If you can hurt a single hair, I'll change my surname to yours. Psst! The Zampakudo with the bright yang sword soul stabbed into the mighty strength golden cicada's body with almost no resistance. The Zampakudo was also covered with a bright red Samadhi true fire. In an instant, the Samadhi true fire was transmitted into the golden cicada's body. The flames burned fiercely. The mighty strength golden cicada instantly rose from the ground and flew into the sky. Visible to the naked eye, a flame spewed out from the back of the mighty strength golden cicada like a fountain. How is it possible? Xinfa world-honored warrior's eyes widened in disbelief. Wang Lan actually stabbed the golden cicada with a single stab? This was impossible. The golden cicada's body was hard and strong. Even Sony couldn't hurt it. How could it be hurt by a light stab? And even if it was a light stab and the blade pierced into its body, aren't you a bug? Don't bugs have no sense of pain? No matter how you look at it, the injury wasn't serious. Why did the mighty strength golden cicada suddenly twitch like it was about to die? Chapter 508. Just as this thought flashed through his mind, the Herculean golden cicada in the sky suddenly fell from the sky like a kite with a broken string and crashed into the ground. At that moment, the Samadhi true fire that was burning in its body started to burn outside the Herculean golden cicada's body. How is this possible? How is this possible? Xinfa's eyes widened in disbelief. The Herculean golden cicada was a powerful golden cicada second only to the King Kong golden cicada. Back then, his ancestor had used the Herculean golden cicada to kill 3 superheroes from the White Eagle Nation. However, just now, it had been killed by Wang Lan's light sword. Oofed! Xinfa spat out another mouthful of blood, and his expression changed drastically. He had never believed that Wang Lan's strength was as amazing as the legend said. Although he was only at the galaxy grade, he had the combat power of a half-step astral soul. What kind of joke was this? The galaxy grade was the galaxy grade. If the Takashi Hoshi's level did not count, then what was the point of setting the Takashi Hoshi's level? Why was he always suppressed by Sony? Even if he had the King Kong golden cicada that could kill a titled expert, he did not even have the courage to attack Sony. Wasn't it because Sony was an astral soul expert? This was the suppression of levels. Wang Lan was only at the galaxy grade. Therefore, although the wings of heaven had warned him many times, he had never cared. Xinfa did not believe that a galaxy grade could threaten him, who was at the peak of the star C grade and had the golden cicada. However, just now, in an instant, the Xinfa felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Wang Lan had killed the Herculean golden cicada with a light sword? Wang Lan appeared beside State Preceptor Cheng Hai. He looked at State Preceptor Cheng Hai, who had returned to his human form, and casually threw out a life halo. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." He is the culprit behind the tragedy in the Cloud Sea space. Cheng Hai pointed at Xinfa and said excitedly, "We must not let him escape." Whoosh! A figure descended from the sky. Yu Ryun, who seemed to be bathed in a mist, landed beside Wang Lan. Her aura instantly locked onto the 7 people present. "Oh, are you Wang Lan?" A man wrapped all over like a ninja slowly pulled out the katana on his back and took a step forward. "Looking at your outfit, I actually find it somewhat familiar. My teacher died in your hands. Today, I will avenge my teacher." The middle-aged man held his saber in front of him, his killing intent boiling and raging. "Your teacher? Which one?" "Sonic Speed, Sony." "Wang Lan, remember my name. My name is Enai." Chua. A stream of light flashed by, and everyone took a step back nervously. Wang Lan's speed was too fast. Fast like a shooting star was an understatement. At this moment, it was as though he had jumped through space. Everyone only saw a blur in front of their eyes before Wang Lan's figure appeared behind the man in black. Wang Lan's battle soul blade was rippling with a faint blue light. The man in black stared with bloodshot eyes and turned his head with difficulty. In that instant, he didn't see anything, nor did he have time to do anything. He only knew that when Wang Lan took that step and slashed with his blade, he already had no chance of survival. A line of blood appeared on his waist. Blood flowed out from the line of blood. Wang Lan's blade had already cut him in half. But I didn't even have time to say my name. I didn't finish. "My name is Nick." Wang Lan instantly attacked, killing an early-stage Astral Sea Realm expert in one move. This time, not only did it intimidate Xinfa World Sovereign, but it also intimidated all the experts of the Birds of Heaven. Everyone finally understood why the Wings of Heaven wasn't willing to join hands with them. It turned out that the Wings of Heaven already knew that they weren't Wang Lan's match. Wang Lan's strength was too terrifying, too frightening. What Birds of Heaven's must-kill list? Although the reward was good, although the contribution was great, you still had to be alive to take it. How could such a high reward be taken so casually? "Leave 2 people behind, we'll retreat," Xinfa World Sovereign shouted in a low voice. The moment he finished speaking, his figure flashed and was about to rush behind. As for the remaining 2 golden cicadas, forget it. How could golden cicadas be more important than their lives? However, the moment Xinfa World Sovereign was about to escape, a water screen suddenly appeared behind him. In the water screen, Yu Ryun's figure appeared like a reflection in a mirror. Water screens appeared one after another, completely sealing off the escape route of Xinfa World Sovereign and the rest. "Charge!" Xinfa World Sovereign hesitated slightly, then sped up and shouted again. A white-clothed Astral Sea Realm expert was arranged to be a frontal assault to test Yu Ryun's strength. Wang Lan's strength was already so abnormal. It couldn't be that this woman was also abnormal, right? However, in reality, perhaps Yu Ryun's strength was even more abnormal than Wang Lan's. Almost at the moment when the white-clothed Indian rushed in front of the water screen, Yu Ryun walked out from the water screen. The water screen behind her instantly turned into a stream of sword energy that looked like flowing water. With a light flick, the sword energy bloomed like flowers, hitting Xinfa World Sovereign and the rest like raindrops filling the sky. Xinfa World Sovereign quickly summoned the 7 orifices golden cicada to form a shield in front of him, and the rest also displayed their various abilities. Each one of them used a defensive Takashi Hoshi technique. Crackle, crackle. There was a soft sound of rain hitting banana leaves, and a round of attacks passed by. Shinfa World Sovereign carefully raised his head from behind a shield. Just as he was about to control the seven orifices golden cicada to return to its original form, he discovered that the cicada in his hand already had no reaction. Instantly, the connection between his spiritual sea and the seven orifices golden cicada was cut off, and he violently spat out a mouthful of blood. Yu Ruoyun's move was a water attribute magic recorded in virtuous like water. It carried the power of law, and normal astral sea realm Takashi, Hoshi simply couldn't withstand it. Even if the seven orifices golden cicada could transform into thousands of illusions, he still had a limit after all. The gigantic strength golden cicada was like paper under the bright yang sword soul, and the seven orifices golden cicada's defensive power naturally couldn't withstand the profound attack of virtuous like water. Shinfa World Sovereign surprise had not yet subsided when an even more frightening scene appeared. The two people who followed him to break out of the encirclement used their earth and crystal defenses, but Yu Ruoyun's attack had already ended. Why were these two people standing still on a spot? Suddenly, the two people's bodies shook together, and then they collapsed to the ground under Shinfa World Sovereign's horrified gaze. Blood was gurgling from the foreheads of the two people. Upon closer inspection, it was discovered that the bodies of these two people were already riddled with holes, and they were beaten like sieves. They should have dodged Yu Ruoyun's attack. No matter how sharp the attack was, as long as it didn't hit, it would be ineffective. But if it was blocked, it would be like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. The hard crystal defense couldn't withstand the attack of the raindrop sword Qi, and the earth attribute naturally couldn't block it either. Yu Ruoyun gently waved her hand and killed the two astral sea realm experts. At this moment, after Wang Lan's soul slasher beheaded the two astral sea realm experts behind him, Shinfa World Sovereign was horrified to discover that he was the only one left. There is only one golden cicada left, but there were still 3 enemies, plus 2 golden cicadas. Suddenly, there was a buzzing sound, and Wang Lan was already standing within 50 meters of Shinfa World Sovereign, and his last golden cicada could devour everything within 50 meters. Shinfa World Sovereign's expression instantly became distorted. Go to hell. The power of devouring suddenly wrapped Wang Lan, and the space where Wang Lan was also compressed in an instant. Wang Lan flew straight to the mouth of the devouring golden cicada and was about to be devoured in the next moment. A sword light tore through the space, and Wang Lan slashed down, leaving an afterimage in the void. The devouring power of the devouring golden cicada disappeared in an instant. It was a blessing to be able to eat, but the prerequisite was that the stomach was good. Anything else? Wang Lan looked at Shinfa World Sovereign with a sneer. As soon as his voice fell, the devouring golden cicada split into 2 halves and fell in front of Shinfa World Sovereign. If he fought, he definitely couldn't beat him, and if he ran, there was no way out. Shinfa World Sovereign looked at the approaching Wang Lan and couldn't help but retreat. But before he could retreat 3 steps, a strong threat came from behind, and Shinfa World Sovereign's face turned white. Shinfa World Sovereign's heart collapsed, and Imperial Preceptor Cheng-Hai's heart was more or less the same. Was this the gap? Was this the stark difference between them? In Imperial Preceptor Cheng-Hai's view, any one of the 6 experts Shinfa World Sovereign brought could turn the Man Nation upside down. The 7 of them came and could ignore the Man Nation as if they were in no man's land. If Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun didn't come, Shinfa World Sovereign would have no solution for the Man Nation. The final outcome would be Shinfa World Sovereign easily taking away all the golden cicadas, and the Man Nation wouldn't even be able to touch a hair of his. But now, the 7 experts who were unrivaled in the eyes of the Man Nation were instantly shaved clean by Wang Lan and Yu Ruoyun. The 2 of them killed 6-star Sea Realm experts right in front of Imperial Preceptor Cheng-Hai's eyes. Those were Star Sea Realm experts, not some low-level nebula warriors. The 2 of them just waved their hands and killed them. Wasn't this too inhumane? Could this be the real Jade State, the powerful Jade State? Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai recalled the friction between the Man Nation and the Jade State over the past few years. For the border territorial issues, for the fishing boat border issues, for the groups of Takashi Hoshi from the Man Nation who smuggled into the Jade State, they had to turn around and criticize the Jade State for instigating the Takashi Hoshi from the Man Nation to defect. The ignorant were truly fearless in these matters. Before this moment, the Imperial Preceptor thought that the difference between the Man Nation and the Jade State was only in numbers, and that the difference in numbers was only because the Jade State had a larger population and the Man Nation had a smaller population. But now, Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai was faced with a cruel reality. In terms of numbers, the Man Nation was vulnerable. In terms of quality, the Man Nation was also vulnerable. If the Jade State wanted to, they could just send a small team like Wang Lan and Yu Run. They didn't need a lot. Just 10 people would be enough. These 10 people could destroy the entire Man Nation. Plop! Suddenly, Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai unexpectedly knelt on the ground. Wang Lan didn't expect this scene. "Hero, please spare my life." Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai prostrated himself on the ground. I've seen the savagery of the demons and the ferocity of the birds of paradise, but this is the first time I've seen someone kneel down and beg for mercy like you. Are you sure this isn't a trick? I wouldn't dare. Both of you are stronger than me. In the current situation, I definitely can't escape, and no one will come to save me. I don't want to die, so please spare my life, hero. You're the one who did it in the southern region of the Sea of Clouds. Wang Lan's eyes flashed with killing intent as he coldly shouted, "Hero, I'm just following orders. The higher-ups said that El Niño is hard to come by in 100 years. If we can use this opportunity to deal a heavy blow to the Jade State, it would be great. I didn't want to do this, but if I didn't listen to orders, I would have died. Do you think the birds of paradise will do things so easily? With your strength, you could be considered one of the higher-ups of the birds of paradise. If you don't spit out some information, how can I let you go?" Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai's expression changed, and beads of cold sweat rolled down his face. "Speak, what's your purpose?" "I'll speak." Boom! A loud sound rang out without warning. The moment Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai said, "I'll speak," his head suddenly exploded like a big watermelon. Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai's headless corpse twitched slightly, then fell straight down. It seems that the birds of paradise are really plotting something. The restriction in the birds of paradise's mind will only detonate when they reveal their secrets. Wait, what birds of paradise? You're saying that Imperial Preceptor Cheng Hai is a member of the birds of paradise? You already knew? State Preceptor Cheng Hai suddenly realized something. From these words, he inferred a fact that made his chest explode. Chapter 509. Wang Lan had just met Xinfa, revered one, and they started fighting without a word. They basically didn't say anything during this period. But now, Wang Lan clearly knew that the other party was the birds of paradise. What did this mean? It meant that the people of Jade State already knew that the other party was the birds of paradise. The United Nations had already agreed that no matter what the birds of paradise did, it had nothing to do with their country. Yet, they still dared to question the Vine Nation, and they even sent people to negotiate. Wasn't this just trying to gain something without risking anything? Wasn't this cheating? Looking at the angry state Preceptor Cheng Hai, Wang Lan smiled indifferently. We didn't know that they were the birds of paradise before. If that idiot didn't say that he was Sony's disciple, how would I know their identity? Wang Lan's smiling expression was very hateful in the eyes of Cheng Hai. But thinking back to the conversation before, this was the only reason that made sense. Well, even the Vine Nation didn't know that the Xinfa had joined the birds of paradise, so the Jade State shouldn't know. But now that you've confirmed that they're the birds of paradise, can you cancel the accusation against the Vine Nation? That won't do. Wang Lan still smiled and shook his head. Who asked the Vine Nation to hide it for so many years? and keep saying that the 7 golden cicadas have been passed down in the Vine Nation. If we don't accuse you, who should we accuse? Moreover, don't you think that you've been covering up for the Shinfa's identity? And for so many years, you've used the golden cicadas as a bargaining chip to swindle benefits from the international community. If this is settled, I'm afraid that the Vine Nation won't be able to bear it, right? You, State Preceptor Chung Hai angrily looked at Wang Lan, but there was nothing he could do. Wang Lan was right. If he accused the Vine Nation of covering up for the birds of paradise, the accusation would be more serious than the accusation against the Jade State. Forget it. Now that the truth has been revealed, can you explain this matter? At least our mission has been completed. We are only responsible for investigating the truth of the matter. Imperial Preceptor, please rest assured that we will truthfully report all the causes and effects to the top, including the true identity of the revered one, Yu Riyun said lightly. The group of people flashed and headed out of the wasteland reclamation space. But along the way, Wang Lan kept feeling that something was left behind. The exit of the unexplored space was right in front of him, but Wang Lan suddenly stopped in his tracks. What's wrong? Yu Riyun and Imperial Preceptor Chung Hai also stopped and asked. Something's not right. I feel like I've overlooked something. Wang Lan lowered his head and frowned. Something's wrong. Of course something's wrong. God is blind. The entire open space of the Vine Nation was almost completely destroyed. The Nest Nation fell from the northwest. Half of the open space was destroyed. The situation of the Titanium Nation and the Vine Nation is similar. Looking at this map, don't you think of anything? Yu Riyun suddenly realized the problem and said in surprise, the places that the beast tide engulfed seem to be moving outward from the Nanjiao Nation. Both of their expressions changed at the same time, especially State Preceptor Chung Hai. He had indeed said this with the intention of giving the Nanjiao Nation a bad look. After all, the Nanjiao Nation was really too annoying. They took advantage of the fact that the Jade State held their leash and scolded the 3 neighboring nations for no reason, inciting friction at the borders. The problem was that although they were disgusting, they could not fight. Just as they were about to slap them, they would quickly run to the Jade State and beg for help. Even Chung Hai, who had cultivated Buddhism for decades, could not stand this kind of behavior. However, he did not expect that his words would give Wang Lan an important clue. The problem was, how did you think of such a tricky angle? However, the map in front of him clearly showed the problem. If this beast tide was carefully planned by the birds of paradise, then was their goal really just to carry out a terrorist attack? I have fought with the birds of paradise many times. Their realm is much higher than we think. Destroying for the sake of destroying is not their style. Wang Lan pointed to the north of the open space of the Nanjiao Nation. North of this place is the southern line of defense of the Yunkai area. It also radiates to the Titanium Nation, the Vine Nation, and the Nest Nation. I guess there must be something in this place that the birds of paradise are after. Let's go investigate, Yu Riyun suddenly said. State Preceptor Chung Hai was a bit hesitant. He wanted to immediately go back to the Vine Nation and tell the king that the Vine Nation was not responsible for this incident. However, in this situation, Chung Hai had no reason to refuse to investigate. Moreover, Wang Lan's words were like a knife to State Preceptor Chung Hai's chest. They did not need the Vine Nation to be responsible for the disaster in the Yunkai area, but whether the Vine Nation's goal in hiding this information was to cover for the revered one needed to be re-examined. If the situation developed in this direction, the Vine Nation would not be able to bear the consequences. Thus, he only hesitated for a moment before agreeing to go investigate with Wang Lan and the others. The Nanjiao Nation's unexplored space was small to begin with, and because almost all the alternate dimensions would be sucked into the sea of clouds, unexplored space, and the rest would be absorbed by the surrounding countries. The Nanjiao Nation's unexplored space was one of the few unexplored spaces that had been completely conquered. Completely conquered meant that there were no strange beasts in the entire open space, or that there were only a few strange beasts. This was also the reason why the Nanjiao Nation was so casual in setting up the defense line of the open space. What was there to defend against if there were no strange beasts? However, due to the El Nino phenomenon, many open spaces would collide and connect. Many strange beasts from other dimensions would also enter the open space of the Nanjiao Nation. Under such circumstances, they would be courting death if they did not implement strict defenses. In fact, even if they did not defend against the El Nino phenomenon, it would not affect the open space of the Nanjiao Nation. The three of them carefully avoided the Takashi Hoshi of the Nanjiao Nation. After traveling 200 kilometers, they arrived at the northern border of the open space. The Nanjiao Nation originally did not have any chaotic fog, but now there is one. This means Wang Lan and the others hid in a pile of rocks and looked at the chaotic fog in the north from afar. This means that an unoccupied space has appeared in their open space. This space is a new spatial fragment. Let's go and take a look in the fog. State Preceptor Chang Hai was about to stand up when Wang Lan suddenly stopped him. Wait, look, a truck powered by soul orbs slowly emerged from the chaotic fog. There seemed to be something heavy on the truck. This scene reminded Wang Lan of the Takashi Hoshi moving goods in and out of the open space before they had entered. What's in the truck? I'll go and investigate. As soon as Yuriyun finished speaking, a layer of hazy mist covered her body. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared into thin air before Wang Lan's eyes. In less than 3 minutes, Yuriyun returned to Wang Lan's side. Her expression was extremely ugly. Space stones. A truck full of space stones. I knew there was something wrong with the Nanjiao Nation. I didn't expect them to steal and sell space stones. Now that the evidence is conclusive, the Jade State won't help them this time, right? A lot of space stones. Oh no! Yuriyun's face instantly turned pale. The two of them knew that many alternate dimensions had space stones. Some larger alternate dimensions would have a large number of space stone mines. However, if there were so many space stones that they needed to be transported by trucks, then there was a high probability that space-time gems would appear. The birds of paradise had wanted space-time gems for a long time. In order to snatch the space-time gems from the country of ice, the demon spies had put in a lot of effort. If the birds of paradise's goal was the space-time gems, then everything would make sense. However, the entire world would be in danger. Without any hesitation, the three of them rushed into the chaotic fog. Following the tracks of the truck, Wang Lan's group easily found the space stone mine. After sinking into the mine, Wang Lan's and Yuriyun's hopes collapsed when they saw the mountain-like spatial stone mine. Wang Lan hurriedly went deeper into the mine and successfully arrived at the center of the mine. Seeing the empty center of the mine, Wang Lan's heart instantly sank. However, these were all just speculations. Before the United Nations verdict, Nanjiao was still a country with sovereignty over Sky Blue. The Takashi Hoshi in Nanjiao were still human warriors. Wang Lan could kill 10 or 100 Takashi Hoshi without batting an eyelid. But was he going to kill thousands of Takashi Hoshi from Nanjiao before the United Nations verdict? Even if Wang Lan had the ability to do so, he couldn't get over that hurdle in his heart. What was it about killing one person was a sin, but killing 10,000 was a hero? Killing 10,000 people was based on the righteousness of the people. Killing for the sake of killing was not a hero at all. After successfully charging out of the mine and leaving the fog of chaos, Yuriyun sensed a large number of Takashi Hoshi rushing north. It wasn't that Nanjiao didn't have any Takashi Hoshi in the open space, but they were all concentrated in one direction. Sneak over. Try to avoid conflict. A large number of Takashi Hoshi, about 200 of them, spread out over a 1-kilometer area like a net. Wang Lan used underground travel to easily hide from the search above. He emerged from the ground a kilometer away from the 200 people and rushed towards the exit of the open space. The three of them were extremely fast. After about 20 minutes, they were about 10 kilometers away from the entrance of Nanjiao's open space. However, at that moment, Yuriyun sensed that Nanzhao had already put up layers of blockade. Based on the tides of star power, there were at least 5,000 Takashi Hoshi intercepting them within 10 kilometers. The exit of the open space was the only way in and out. Nanzhao was sure that Wang Lan and the others would choose to break through. The three of them gathered in a hidden corner. Nanzhao's defense is pretty good. I thought that since Nanzhao was so lax, the quality of their Takashi Hoshi shouldn't be high. Don't you know, Major General? State Preceptor Chung Hai glanced at Wang Lan and smiled. There was a hint of sarcasm in his smile. Every year, students from Nanzhao go to Cebu Gakuen, Jade State's key university, to study. They also hire Takashi Hoshi soldiers from Jade State to help them train their soldiers. The quality of Nanzhao's military was personally taught by Jade State. Now, I don't know how the Jade State's geniuses will deal with the things you teach them. No matter how tight the defense is, it will be useless if there is an invisible enemy. Yuriyun said calmly and stood up slowly. My virtuous Ruoxue can be invisible and penetrate. Let me try to sneak in first. Wang Lan was absolutely confident in Yuriyun's strength. He nodded slightly. Be careful. Yuriyun's body was covered in water vapor. In the blink of an eye, her figure seemed to blend into the air and disappeared. Even Wang Lan couldn't sense whether Yuriyun had left or not. Eldest Prince, Carter's troops have just replied that they didn't find any infiltrators. If it were Wang Lan, he would immediately leave the wasteland space and make a phone call to report back to the country. This was the most important thing. However, when Yuriyun retreated, Nanzhao's defensive line suddenly changed. A team of hundreds of Takashi Hoshi suddenly rushed out of the defensive line and surrounded Yuriyun. Seeing this scene, even if Yuriyun didn't want to believe it, she had to admit that her whereabouts had been exposed. How was that possible? She hadn't done anything. There was no reason for her whereabouts to be exposed. At the front of the Takashi Hoshi army was a pair of twin sisters. One had short hair, while the other had twin ponytails. They looked like they were only 16 or 17 years old, but they were actually over 30 years old. Seeing the two of them, the corresponding information instantly appeared in Yuriyun's mind. The twin stars of Nanzhao. In Nanzhao, the more famous experts were the first general, the two kings, and the 3 stars. Although the Nanzhao nation was small and weak, even if it was small and weak, it could still be placed on the international stage to compete with each other. The first general was the only 5-star general in Nanzhao. The second king was the eldest prince, Mocha. The 3 stars were naturally the twin sisters. These 4 people were all at the peak of the Star Sea realm. They could be considered experts in any country. Yuriyun turned into water vapor and floated in the sky, quietly watching the Takashi Hoshi soldiers converging below. Yuriyun didn't think of running. With her strength, there was no need for her to run. She was now very curious. How did Nanzhao discover her? Could it be that there was a flaw in her wind into the night that they didn't know about? Friend, show yourself. Since you dared to invade Nanzhao, you shouldn't be afraid to show yourself, right? The short-haired Gemini leaf looked up at the clouds in the sky and sneered. Under my eyes, your astral power has nowhere to hide. So it's an eye technique. No wonder. A voice came from the sky. Yuriyun's figure appeared like a wind fairy. Who are you? Why did you invade Nanzhao? When the other party saw Yuriyun's true appearance, his expression changed instantly. Although they all lived on the Asian continent, the differences between the races of each country were very clear. The appearance of Jade State's people was very easy to distinguish. So when Yuriyun appeared, the Gemini leaf hurriedly questioned her. Invade or die? Suddenly, a shout came from the crowd below her. In an instant, an attack was launched into the sky. Wait! The Gemini leaf's expression changed greatly. Just as she was about to stop it, the Takashi Hoshi behind her launched an attack at Yuriyun in the sky. Yuriyun was naturally not to be trifled with. Previously, when she saw the other party's questioning, she thought that Nanzhao had some excuse to explain. However, When she saw that they had unexpectedly launched an attack without saying a word, she immediately confirmed her guess. Since you've betrayed the human race, don't blame me for cleaning up the house. In an instant, the astral power around her body was mobilized. A water curtain appeared below her, turning into a crystal and swallowing the attack from below. Not good, everyone disperse, the Gemini leaf shouted in panic. Crystal reflection. Within the circular crystal wall, the Takashi Hoshi's attack from before instantly rushed out of the crystal wall and bombarded the ground. Brothers combined the Takashi Hoshi technique. Stop! A loud shout resounded. Behind the crowd, another group of star martial artists hurriedly rushed over. It was a dark mass, and it looked like there were a few thousand people. Prince Mocha took the lead and rushed to the front, but he was stopped by the Takashi Hoshi army, led by the Gemini stars. Eldest Prince, it's dangerous ahead. Please stay behind. Shut up and get out of my way. Although the Takashi Hoshi were unwilling, they did not dare to disobey the eldest prince's order. In the end, they made way for the eldest prince. The second princess of the Jade State's imperial family, Her Highness Yuruoyun, and the youngest major general of the Jade State, the son of the famous Yin Emperor, Wang Lan. I really did not expect that Nanzhao's best friend and Jade State's two strongest young geniuses would disregard the friendship between Nanzhao and Jade State and invade Nanzhao's space. As the eldest prince spoke, he strode in front of them and raised his head to question them. We violated the friendship between our two countries? Then what about Nanzhao's cooperation with Birds of Paradise to dig out the space-time gem and attempt to open the gate to the demon realm and summon the demons to invade? What did Nanzhao go against? Cooperation with Birds of Paradise? Digging out the space-time gem? I don't know what you're talking about. Eldest Prince, Jade Nation is trying to frame us with a crime. It seems that Jade State wants to annex Nanzhao. How dare they frame us with such a crime? Do you want to destroy Nanzhao? The Takashi Hoshi behind him suddenly became agitated. If you want to frame us with other crimes, it's fine. At most, you could just argue and quarrel with a middleman to mediate and the matter will pass. But you actually framed us with the crime of betraying the human race and defecting to the demons. What crime is that? That will destroy our country. Suddenly, the Takashi Hoshi of Nanzhao became angry. They originally thought that it was a misunderstanding. Although the Jade State had invaded Nanzhao's space and was trampled on, Nanzhao's face had been trampled on many times. They were already used to it. However, what you said was not just trampling on their face. You're going to destroy their country. Panic began to spread, and in an instant, it turned into anger. At that moment, a figure rushed over. The appearance of State Preceptor Chung Hai immediately attracted Mocha's attention. State Preceptor Chung Hai of Mang Country. I see. It seems that Jade State and Mang Country have reached an agreement? Is that why they betrayed Nanzhao? How do you plan to divide Nanzhao? Prince Mocha, are you still pretending? In the chaotic fog in the north, you've been brazenly mining the space-time gem. Is there a need to pretend to be a good person here? Mining the space-time gem? Mocha looked back in surprise. The Gemini star frowned, but still nodded.